Welcome back to the Metropole Grid. It's a Tuesday stream, November 7th, 2023. 603 days into Duolingo. From the top rope, he comes in. Yeah, kind of a big deal. It's a big number. I've been working on that one for a long time, and like, I just wanted to share that. My French is okay. My Spanish is barely acceptable. Feliz martes, amigos. There is something so genuinely fun in speaking a non-English language with like the worst possible heavy English accent. And I mean like American or Canadian English accent, not like a British English accent. That's actually hard. I don't know. Feliz martes, amigos. How's everyone doing? Hey, Sophie first, and then Ba comes in and absolutely destroys you in without any remorse. First the worst. Ba, what are you doing? You're gonna lose your internet license. Spark, how you doing? Hopefully this is a well-known children's rhyme and doesn't just come across me as throwing unnecessary shade. No, it's a real rhyme. I think everyone in chat also knows it, which, yes. I've only heard the rhyme in the UK, not NA. I'm Canadian, went to school in the UK. No, yeah, we have it here. Kato says definitely exists in the States. Kato, how's it going? How's the stream going? Look like less of a dick. I love your meteor mining video from yesterday. Two things, Yoba. Firstly, I watched that like stream where you unfortunately streamed for 7 minutes not knowing that you did. I've done that before. It's a heck of a feeling. It feels really gross when you don't realize you're streaming and you're streaming. Feels bad trying to not do that ever again in my life. Would be excited for the rest of the match. I know it's coming. Secondly, I watched the thing with that you had Cobra Bubbles on, and it's really fun. I know that you managed to beat that deck. I don't think that makes that deck beatable, but you know what I mean? The owl needs your words, blood. Better believe it has mine. How, Mondi, how's it going, firstly? What are you putting into it? Because that damn owl does definitely want the world's blood. Been loving the Lu decks. I've been using the buffer strike one combo. So we've been back to recording some games for the channel. CanNets has wrapped up. So like we are outside of the sort of like live video editing prison that we lived in for a while now. 1332 today? Mondi, you could have made up a smaller number so I'd feel better about my accomplishment. Well done. Really well done. Damn. Oh, damn. What language you got? Or languages? You doing like one day of each? So, I just want to shout this off. Oh, it's still an advertisement. Excuse me. We don't have to watch that. The finals for CanNets went up, I think, 3 days ago on the weekend. I don't say this lightly, but it is very good. Right, like I'll be the first to admit it. If you want to have like a list of which videos should I not watch in the CanNet series, because there's like 16 of them and there's only so much time in the week, I can tell you which ones are like the best ones to watch. This is somehow the best one to watch out of the entire series, right? Like the finals just actually popped off, which is sick. So I can't recommend it enough. Like I'm not just saying this because obviously I put work into it, but because it is genuinely a really good game. So check that out. That's up on the channel. But now we're back into doing like gameplay stuff. So we did a whole bunch of recording yesterday, playing some like Tukana ganked Asa, which is really fun. The reason why I say that is because I think one out of every 2 games I played into were Lu. Yesterday, like half the field is people playing Lu. And I don't get it. Can someone describe to me why everyone's playing Lu? Is it a bunch of Lu decks? And like I saw different Lu decks. Like it wasn't just Lu. Like I think, you know, Lu obviously it says acid meta potentially from Worlds. Let's go deal with that. But I generally don't think Lu is better than Hoshiko to do the same exact thing. Like this is, you know, again, Virus Max, but in Lu. I refuse to believe that this is better than just having Hoshiko. Like some of the Hoshiko mulch decks are playing like 58 cards. Like they clearly don't care about this number. I don't think that's the best thing to do. But like, I just don't think they're better in Lu than Hoshiko. Like Hoshiko has the relevant ability. I played against Lu games where it's fired once because I ice up centrals and don't let them get in for free imps. I don't understand it at all. Hey, Eric, that's better. How's it going? Yes, Lu. You actually happy with it? What's the plan for today's stream? Andre, how's it going? Also, thank you for the kind comments on the videos. We're going to be trying some A Teia because we just haven't done A Teia in a long time. And it's like the one thing that's bothering me. I've been playing so much Asa group and understanding like, oh, click compression is really good. That today is going to be this sort of like, you know, pretty happen open Tuesday where we're going to be okay with being upset that fundamentally Jinteki does not have the card pool to support that. Yeah. Gotta switch. Gotta get some revenge on Cobra Bubbles. This sort of like, interaction between Heinlein Grid is exactly the sort of thing where like I fear people who play Eternal. because they find card combos that are like, oh yeah, that wouldn't have been printed in standard because that combination is just a bit miserable. But of course, in Eternal, they don't balance for Eternal anymore, as much as Eternal's balanced after. Italian mostly, though. I did some Catalan before Worlds. Italian refused to let any of it stick. Oh, nice. Oh, you prepared in Catalan. I prepared in Spanish. One of us did a better job. That's really good, Mondi. I did a bit of Italian on Duolingo many, many years ago. But as someone who has family that grew up on the Slovenian-Italian border, we just say like rude things in Italian only. That's the only Italian I know is like "Mona shutesta," which is Slovenian and Italian. It's not kind. The buffer of chips look like a lot of fun. Also, Audrey, I think in all the matchups I've played against this, mind you, I'm playing like Glacier Asa, sort of. Like, they've never used Audrey. The buffer drive has never been useful. Like, I know also Ba was playing buffer drive in Ba's version of Mulch. This card just seems like it's a piece for the eventuality in which you're already so far ahead because your deck is like just labor rights. TPR A Teia? Yeah, I think we'll start with some fast events A Teia and then go from there. Might be people testing for the potential Hosh ban? Is that actually what it is? Are people actually, like, do you think there's going to be a ban sometime soon? Like, what? UK Nats is coming up. That's, like, one of the biggest events recently. Are they going to ban Hoshiko between now and then? Like, obviously, she won Worlds, sort of. Damn connection. Hey, Matt, how's it going? I am missing Eternal chat because my connection is bored. Anarka, how's it going? We played a good game yesterday. You know how the gank works now. It didn't fire. If you ice up Centrals, you blank Hoshiko too, though. They pretty much need the same thing, except Lu can't run archives, and Lu gets +2 credits to turn over Hoshiko, but he has to set up Imp and Nabo. So I would argue that Hoshiko, like, you can still contest Centrals. And there's a very big difference. Also, how's it going, Spark, right? Like, Lu's ability is only relevant if they trash something. Now, the decks, how many trashable cards is dependent on the meta. But if they're running HQ and I have no trashables, I can let that access go through because Lu doesn't matter. But then I have an incentive against Hoshiko to res the ice because Hoshiko is 2 credits and a card, or technically a credit and a card, right? Because you lose the credit. That difference of pressure on turn 1, let alone running archives, is such a big difference. Like, again, I can show you so many gameplays where Lu is fired once or twice. And obviously I'm not playing like NEH asset spam like we saw at Worlds. So, you know, there's obviously a meta concession there. But I just don't get it. Like, Hoshiko's ability is relevant on all board states. Lu's ability is only relevant if you get an imp, and luckily they're on 3 imp. The mulch ones aren't. Lu's 5 credits per turn drip instead of 3 credits with Hosh. Jad, how's it going? We gotta shout this out too. I'm hoping this makes deck list of the week because it's really wild. So Jad's in chat. Jad posted this deck list, a quick 102-step guide to traveling from Russia to Worlds. And I mentioned this on stream the other day that one of our players from Crownless servers came in from very, very far away, which is from St. Petersburg, Russia. And because of, you know, the ongoing situation in that part of the world, it's impossible to travel not into or out. It's very difficult. There's a lot of things you have to do. So Jad has his write-up. Mind you, it is an ace of group deck. It seems fine. It's functional. It's good. It's not the focus of the write-up, and you'll see why in a second. Goes through the 102 steps. It's approximately a 22-minute read of what it takes to get to Worlds. And it's a roller coaster, like, of all the bureaucracy, all the things that work out and don't work out. Like suddenly, like, oh, I won a nationals. Now I have a free ticket. Let's go. Understanding how, like, you have to make the visas work for you. And we were talking to Jad because we had a group chat for our, like, SOS team, or COS team, excuse me, talking about, like, hey, how is everyone doing? How's everyone's travel? And, like, oh man, understanding that, I was like, yeah, it's going to be like a week and a half journey or whatever. Read this if you can. It's pretty buck wild. But congrats to Jad, who made it out and then made it back, of course, which is like an absolute Herculean effort to, like, figure out how to get to the Worlds. He has to go to Greece because he has to prove that he's a tourist and he's going somewhere else. It's such a wild write-up. So do check it out. Really, really cool. Congrats to Jad as well. Cobra Bubble is such a sweetheart. Yeah, for real. For real. Cobra Bubbles clearly took some pleasure in absolutely destroying my soul, but rightfully so. I swapped to YouTube because Twitch sucks. Yeah, Davis, I think we're just banning them. Yeah, I would not be surprised. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think something's up with Twitch because I can't get in either. That's a bummer to hear. On my side, things look fine. So if there's an issue, it's probably on Twitch's side because my outgoing connection seems totally fine. Buffer Drive feels like a super card to mulch, and I gotta put it in for the meetup tonight. Yeah. I guess the biggest difference is that Luz has to be vulnerable to Oppo every turn. Yeah, Buffer Drive is so good to mulch. I'm gonna make a video of all the synergies BD has in mulch decks, and you still won't play it, right? I probably will at some point, and like that's what it's gonna take. Is it's gonna take someone to like make deck list of the week for me to play it, or at some point I'm gonna like just absolutely snap, and then we'll have to play it on the basis that like we need it. I just think it's such an expensive card. I don't understand exactly what it does, right? Like putting a card on the bottom of your deck is really good when you get to the late game because you can set your deck up to be like, you know, infinite value combo thing. I just like, you have no shuffle effect. So how often do you get to the bottom of your deck? I think you do, but I feel like mulch lists, once you get to the bottom of your deck, you're in a good spot anyways. I wonder how often you use this, because this seems actually okay, kind of. Hey, come on, it's going good. How are you doing? I mean, hear me out here. It's fun to have fun, and Lou is fun. Eric, I totally agree with you that Lou can be fun, but I'd argue that I have so much more fun with Hoshiko when her ability is relevant on most turns, right? Like, again, we played a bunch of games yesterday and Lou fired once or twice. I'd argue that's way less fun. Like, just way, way less fun that your ability's not relevant. But I get it. Like, people don't like Hoshiko. For what it's worth, I actually enjoy Hoshiko now. I think without DreamNet, like you actually see runners making decisions on when they want to take turns off and not turns off, and her text box becomes a bit more interesting. Obviously, it's on the boring side of interesting, but like I think Hoshiko without DreamNet is actually a much more interesting identity than she was before. And I think the Hoshiko games they're not stomps as much as they could have. They weren't always that. Like I feel like there's now more tempo gaps and there's ways to attack Hoshiko that feel better. Cool to see Neon Stack in chat. Been loving their vids lately. Oh, Oren, how's it going? Yeah, Neon Stack's been doing good stuff. Like, I like the in-person live streams a heck of a lot. I know Eric's been working on a lot of, what's it called? A lot of, like, edited video stuff. That's gonna be coming up soon. Does anyone know any regular play groups for Netrunner in CT? CT being Connecticut? Kumquat, check out. There's a New England Netrunner Discord channel. Someone might be able to give you a link. If not, hit me up after. I don't have it on hand. And or if you're in Glean level clearance, there's a way to ask for a section. This is also always worth shouting out. Mind you, I think I'm behind on chat now. But if you go to Null Signal Games and you go to, I don't know, players, I think. It's never obvious where this should be. And you go to community, there's tabs here that will link you to like areas to have netted. So right here, a group dedicated to living card game Android Netrunner meeting the first and third Thursday of the month in New Haven, Connecticut. I've been to New Haven before. Then second and fourth Thursday of the month in Central Connecticut. Join our Facebook group, contact Mark McKnight, Thursdays at Tabletop Gaming Center. This might be deprecated, like this might be old information, but it's always worth noting that there is a page here that you can post stuff. So this might be a good starting spot, and even someone there might know where to go. But do check that out. Yeah, New England Discord, as Sophie is saying, is where it is. I'm in that because, as far as I understand, Montreal could be part of New England, not in terms of culture, but like we can drive there. I'm very new to the community, so I'm consuming all the media I can. It's really fun, man. Being new to a game and like dipping your toes in and like, you know, learning how stuff is and finding all the content creators that like you eventually fall asleep to. It's really nice. There'll be a much better version of that page in the future. Yeah, that's sick. I really believe it. I know they put out that like recent survey to be like, hey, how do we change? I haven't done that survey yet. I have to do it. Second ability on Buffer Drive is maybe the more important one. Being able to put a card on top of your deck where it will be either milled with Lago or drawn clicklessly with Hoshiko allows some buck wild plays. Okay, firstly, Boss said Hoshiko, so... Secondly, do I want to spend 3 credits on an influence to put a strike fund on top of my deck? I feel like we just spent a lot of effort to do nothing, right? Like, I'm wrong. I'm going to be obvious I'm wrong. I'm just going to be the hardest hurdle critically for Buffer Drive to gain acceptance. Right? Like, I'll say it. I'm going to be the biggest ass about it. I'll look through Discord and see if I can find it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Piotr, how's it going? Welcome. Join the Any Discord. There's a CT scene. Yeah, hell yeah. Yo, Veronica, how did Dutch Nationals go? How was it? There's probably gonna always be running, so let's look at it. There's a whole bunch of nationals going on. Hey, Sidka, how's it going? Long time subber here. Love your content. Thank you for all the homework. Thank you. That's very kind. Welcome to the stream chat, maybe for the first time. That's very kind. I hope you and chat have a great day. I hope something unexpectedly great happened to you on your loved ones today. That's very kind. I think the closest to it, we're waiting for a package today, which will contain the expansion for Arc Nova, which is an event tonight for me and my partner for sure, because we adore that game. So hey, it's a pretty good day, I think. Dutch Nationals, let's go. I agree, Hosh is fun. You're not wrong that it's not fun when your ability isn't relevant. I concede, but still need loot to be good so I can play my sweet acrylic ID. Yeah, that acrylic ID is really nice. The Hosh thing is weird because I was all aboard Hosh ban, but I think I'm like weirdly okay with Hosh now. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too. It's like I'm kind of okay with Hosh now. Well, okay. I'm not okay with Hosh now because we're running into the same problem we had many moons ago. We'll start playing Netrunner soon. But the problem right now we have with Hosh is the issue that Hosh's ability seems so generalist better than almost all of the specialized abilities in Anarch. And I'll agree there's like a huge unevenness when it comes to the Anarch identity card pool, because there's still a bunch of really old ones that aren't relevant at all. But the idea is that, like, the fact that we having a deck that wants to trash a card every turn could arguably, and maybe not even arguably, be better in Hoshiko than Lu, gives you the exact same problem we had many, many moons ago with Haley Kaplan, where it's like, it didn't matter what kind of wild shaper deck you were building, right? So Haley says the first time you install a card each turn, you may install another card of the same type from your grip. So you're basically playing a 5-click runner as long as your deck is built in a certain way. Early Haley decks, when they came out, they were running no events just to make sure they can always have double installs. And like at that point, it did even out. But Haley was such a consistent way to get 5 clicks, let alone sometimes extra clicks on the corpse turn. Now, if you went on the way to play a deck that like installed things from the bin over and over again with Exile Street Hawk. So whenever you install a program from your heap, draw a card. There were entire decks that used like recursive pieces that kept going into the bin and coming out to make draw engines with Exile and make money off of it. And at the end of the day, it was still worse than Haley. Because Haley giving you a second install on the thing that you pulled from your bin turned out to be better and more consistent and helped you set up more than the free card draw from Exile. So the idea was the payoff for your aggression was an extra install as opposed to an extra card draw. And the install turned out to be better against more board states. So we ran into this issue where, like, even if you made very, very creative shaper decks, almost always Haley was the home. And to me right now, that feels like the problem with Anarch, with Hoshiko, is that I think the Hoshiko ability is much more fun than it's ever been. It's just very hard to convince yourself to play anything else besides Hoshiko when Hoshiko's ability is just like wildly more playable across all board states, across most like play patterns. And I could be wrong. Like, there's a chance that the 40 card Lu deck, right? Like right now, the mulch lists seem a bit bloated. I think that's something that can come down in size to make the deck more consistent. Like, people will figure out if that's the case or not. So maybe Lu does work. And for a certain meta that is mostly assets, I'd argue that Lu, yeah, seems pretty fine. Or even Freedom decks are like actually different. And that is a different identity. But to me, that's the only problem with Hoshiko, is that she kind of crams out, like, why the heck would I play Reina Roja? But that's a problem with Reina also not being, oh, I just searched Renee, Lu. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's like 3 or 4 different Hoshiko decks. She's prevalent, but she also enables a bunch of stuff. It's the ETF thing all over again. Yeah, Patrick, you're saying exactly what I'm saying, and that's the problem. I think that's a better thing to shout out. It's the engineering the future problem. I kind of adored engineering the future. This was the HB identity. This is for, you know, people who are maybe into the game newer. This was the first HB identity that ever came out. The first time you install a card, each turn gain 1 credit. Now, this ability is just busted good, right? Like, if you have a 12-turn game, it was like 12 free credits, 11 free credits. Sometimes you installed on the runner's turn as well. But the problem is every single HB identity that came out after Engineering the Future for a really long time saw no play because this ID just did what any deck wanted to do, but gave them 12 extra free credits. And it took a really long time. In fact, I'm pretty sure Engineering the Future got banned sooner than other HB identities caught on, because back then, the only other interesting HB identity was Cerebral Imaging, and that wasn't even relevant for a long time until combo decks kind of appeared. But that was a problem. And in some ways, I loved Engineering the Future because it gave you that sort of like consistency to build nonsense. Like, we would build a deck that has no HB cards. There's only neutral cards, and you could only do it functionally because you got 12 free credits in the game. So it's nice that there's these backbone fundamental cards. It's kind of like Off-World Office, but Off-World Office doesn't feel as obnoxious as it used to because it allows you to play anything and make it make sense. Hoshiko feels like that. Engineering the Future felt like that. Dutch Nationals went not as planned. I got swept every round except for the bye. Oh, Veronica, sorry to hear that. Was it at least fun? Like, I don't know, getting bodied at events sometimes, you know, that definitely happens. Some days it's just not your day. But I hope you still had a great time. Congrats to these folks and all the folks who came out. It's really cool. But you do want to spend 3 credits on an influence to put a steel skin on top of your deck, which means you survive an 8 damage combo out of op. I feel like we're spending so much time and influence playing a combo card, right? Like, there's so many other ways to put a card into your deck that makes you not die to an 8 damage combo into op, right? Like, firstly, play better. You know, we died to that combo, I think, a while ago. But like, you can play so many other things that allow you to do that. I don't see why this would be my first choice. But maybe the fact that it's flexible that allows you to do that will also allows you to do the other stuff, maybe. 100% with you, the second ability on Buffer Drive is never worth the cost. First ability is interesting in that it can let you play a 40 card mulch deck that has 50 cards of gas. Yeah, the first one's like kind of interesting because it's instant speed and then you can put it on top. Specifically if you're running like Lagu, which this deck isn't, or I guess with the price, but like that feels so niche to me. I got a message from Mildside that I got Qatar and Red Sand stuff in. Yo, sick. Arknova's godlike, waiting for Polish release of the game because we have a Polish base game. Oh, for the expansion, sick. Yeah. Cool. Is Hoshiko the new Val, the new why play anything else? Sean, it's not as bad as that. I don't think Val actually was really at that point either. Like there was reasons not to play Val. I think Val was also a response to there being a lot of assets. So sort of. Speaking of other games, anyone know of any game with a Netrunner field that could play 4 or more people? Peppermint, how's it going? A Netrunner like feel? 4 or more people. I honestly don't know. Maybe someone in chat will know. That's a hard question. Because the Netrunner like field to me involves like putting cards face down and bluffing and like and caring about physicality of space. I know there's a lot of card games that are like Netrunner adjacent. So like there was one that was previewed many moons ago on a Shut Up and Sit Down video about sci-fi or something. It looks like the art was all AI generated. I'm not sure if that's the case. There's the one that's about the witch trials that I forget. It's a French game. I don't think if it plays 4 players. Maybe someone has a better idea. Yeah, similar problems with HB ETF, right? Nasir is maybe different, but yeah, there is a couple ideas. And like, I think, damn, NSG's been doing such a good job about it. Like, so Nasir, everyone brings up because people adore Nasir. Nasir was never very good, but that's fine because Nasir was very interesting. The deck that you built that was a Nasir deck definitely could not be your Haley deck. It was a very functionally different deck because it said whenever you encounter a piece of ice, you lose all your money and then you get the credit of the res cost of the ice. So you had to build a deck that could use money and instant speed in like very reasonable ways. But like for what it's worth, NSG's been doing a really good job at building IDs that are more build around than others. So I'd argue like Az is probably one of the better examples from Ashes, that Az decks look like nothing else, you know, Geist issues. Essa decks are really good. Essa decks don't look like other Anarchs, right? And is even variance within what Essa decks look like, as much as you kind of have to look at some other more interesting, I wouldn't say more interesting. I think 90% of Essa decks are the same. And then like NWE has a couple interesting decks. And I think on the runner side, like it's been really good. Like obviously Op is such a good example of that. Op is its own thing that plays like anything else. And Op is one of the best Netrunner cards of all time. It's just like the coolest thing ever. So like NSG's been doing a really good job at that. Obviously, like I have my own issues with Ashes, but Hoshiko to me feels like the most generalist of generalists in not the most interesting way. I'm way behind on chat, excuse me. I'd be okay with seeing Hoshi everywhere if I liked her flavor more. Hero Heat. Isn't Essa kind of good? Essa's great. There's Xanatos Gambit. I know what that name is, but I don't know what that name is. I'm a little confused with the Essa doing okay. No, Essa's really good. Essa did great at Worlds. ETF never got banned. It got rotated. Yes, that is more accurate. Yeah, until ETF was not legal anymore. It wasn't banned. It was rotated. Yeah, they rotated the core set. Xanatos Gambit. That sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is. Oh, yeah, but this is not like... This is just a Mushin deck. Like all Mushin decks are the same. Mushin decks to me... I don't know. We played a GNK this weekend and I died in the last round because somebody installed advanced an Urtica Cypher in Reality Plus. And like, yeah, you're just going to lose those games. I definitely could have played it differently, but like, I'm not a big fan of sort of like, is it the agenda or is it the trap game? As much as that's so huge to so many players, it's not the part of Netrunner I like. S is more of a meta pick. S is also hella fun though. Ban Hoshiko ETF. Kyle, how's it going? I had a blast, but I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Dutch meta is super kind and friendly. That is the best thing to hear. If you're worried about need damage, play Yarrow Mercs. You can. I think there's a couple things you can play. Yarrow Mercs is definitely an option. Yarogniv. S is good, but also widely different to basic every Anarch. Yeah, that's my point. I think I'm behind on chat. I think people were bringing this up sooner than I was talking about Essa being cool and relevant. Also been kind of sick and not genuinely unlucky that day. And also got genuinely unlucky that day. I don't want to blame everything on luck, but what do you call turn 2 Crypto Crash or turn 2 Regenesis? It happens. It totally does happen. Don't worry about it. Pagan Roanoke is the Witch Hunt one, but it's 1v1. Thank you, Chandrael. That's the one I was thinking of. I haven't played it yet. There's like mixed reviews online. Some say it's too long and complicated. There's like one really like absolute shining review from somebody who used to make Netrunner content back in the day on BGG who just loves it. But yeah. Tenchling, how's it going? Good morning. Did you see Jat's write-up, Tenchling? Personally, more annoyed that Anarch gets a billion generic value money cards that are just outright better than what the other factions get, so you can run almost anything before you have money. Because you have money, yes. I think, like, Yeah, I do think the NR card pool needs to be addressed. I think that came up in one of the last like what's it called, balance list updates. The NR card pool functionally is just too playable. That they don't really require to spend influence to do much of anything. It's a problem. But yeah, at least Anarch is fun. Thank you for the link to Xanatos. If you, it has an official mod on TTS you want to try out for free. Oh, cheers. They just desperately need an interesting and unique NBN ID because yellow decks equal yellow deck. Yeah, yellow is like such a problem right now. And like, I think we can spend a lot of time talking about what's wrong with yellow. But currently, all the yellow decks feel the same. And I think it was even worse like a year ago where all the yellow decks feel the same. Where like your agenda suite was the same across all decks. Your package was the same across all decks. There was like maybe a difference if you're playing Acme because you played different ice. So you had different Glacier than Asmari Glacier if you played that. But currently NBN to me has like a concentration of small power cards that makes all decks feel the same. I think it's also like Pravdavost is, you know, for what it's worth, is a unique NBN thing. And as much as Pravdavost isn't popping up, I think Pravdavost is the closest we've seen in a really long time to unique NBN. But even things like GameNet, and like, let me tell you, obviously, I hate GameNet. But like GameNet 2 just is like, it's the same core game plan. We just play with slightly different ice. 17 influence, also fantastic. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Analytica, like, what's it called? Epiphany? Didn't do anything. And I don't think that's too surprising. Reality Plus is just kind of absurdly good. NEH is kind of absurdly good. Eventually one of those won't exist. But like, I feel like this needs 1 or 2 more cards from the next set to have a relevant ability because it just doesn't have a relevant ability compared to NEH. It just doesn't. Mushin decks of the Classic always win on JNet. Pete, how's it going? I think they win in person too, though. I wasn't around during ETF era, but I played it in a cube and yeah, just build whatever deck I want out of it. Yeah, it's just really good. I did absolute unit, yeah. Can we ban Bologna yet? Jonald, I don't know. I think if you ban Bologna, NBN just doesn't exist anymore. Like, this is the issue. I think Bologna is pushed. I think it is pushed. Okay, we talked about this a bit on the weekend. Let's talk about Bologna, right? As an additional cost to steal this agenda, the runner must pay 5 credits. That alone would be enough text on an older game of Netrunner to be a relevant card. But when you score this agenda, gain 5 credits. This card is so important right now because Threat 3 is a really important text on NBN cards right now. So this is super, super relevant card. But if you ban Bologna, you basically ban the NBN faction. Because NBN has really bad agendas in general. And this agenda is super important to them. Now, it's good that it actually says this text on it because Netrunner's in an even worse game when corporations don't have an incentive to score out their agendas. I was talking about this, like if you look at this card and then you look at something like Ikawa, could Ikawa be printed with the same text? That when you score this, you gain 2 credits on a click. That would be absurd. That would be a really, really, really good agenda, but it's really nice, especially because like you can get an ASA trigger, you can jam the next agenda there. Like it would be a very, very good agenda, arguably better than Bologna. But like it's important that corps want to score their agendas. That's a good thing, and as she's been doing. Obviously, this is a very, very powerful 5-3 agenda. But if you ban this, this is exactly the problem with NBN. Is NBN has like 4 very good cards, 4 and a couple pretty good cards. I don't know. I think you need this. I think, unfortunately, you need this. I don't think you can just get rid of this without, like, the entire faction. So eventually, it might rotate. And again, like, rotate Ashes, but... Just build what is probably a bad Game Night yellow deck that doesn't seem all the same. We'll see. It's just, like, fundamentally, I don't know. It doesn't do anything interesting, generally. Unless it's, like, doing something really, really wacky. Does Canal really feel like Table Carnage? Yeah, sort of. Not exactly. I don't have too much experience in it. But, like, Canal Plus... which was the R plus version, not the NAH version, which is also what Pincel played, is largely the same. Well, no, okay. So it's not like a kill combo deck, like Table Carnage, but it is basically like an HB asset spam efficiency deck. It is just asset spam in which the financial trade of taking down their stuff, dealing with the money, dealing with tags, is better for them than you. Like fundamentally, this plays like HB asset spam circa like 4 or 5 years ago. 2-3 years ago. My time is not that easiest to tell anymore. But like this is basically an HB deck. Because, like, I don't know. Do you know what costs 2 credits and a click to remove? A tag. Do you know what else that has the text on? Thule. Right? Like, it's really goofy to me that this is basically HB efficiency asset spam. And then you play, you know, you have actual tag punishment. You have legitimate tag punishment that's important on all board states. So you actually can build for like mid to late game eventuality where it's like, yeah, they can clear the tags, but they can't clear the tags while there's also wage workers turning a crypto crash on the table. Amani Sanai is just absurd. If they can't deal with it, they can't win the game. And then you have real tag punishment. Yeah, it's nothing. It's very different than Table Carnage, but inherently it is still just like NBN goes horizontal. I don't know. It plays most of the same cards. This just has the tag punishment in here instead of in the kill. I don't think it's that big of a difference. Hey, Thomas, I think you make an argument that the game could have fewer, more general IDs with generic strong ID abilities they can build lots of shells out of. Not sure the player base would like that, though. Yeah, certain games do it like that. But then, like, I think people... So this is the big thing, right? Like, people appreciate heterogeneity when it comes to metas. Often at the... Not at the expense, but, like, without consideration whether the homogenous meta is fun. This is, like, a big card game thing in general. Like, if I go to a top cut and, like, out of the top cut, 8 out of 12 are Hoshiko, I would say the meta is like messed up. Most people would. But I'd argue that if you're a competitively minded player, maybe, and those Hoshiko games are really, really fun, it's not that big of an issue. And I think Hoshiko is at least getting closer to that side of it. We didn't see the absurd Hoshiko dominance at Worlds, but I do think Worlds charts are colored a lot by certain testing groups understanding the meta and like meta calling for it. That being said, like Hoshiko didn't have a good conversion rate because everyone brought Hoshiko, so it's like a mix. I don't know. Bologna's taking the Obokata throne, holding up the faction. Yeah, it's not as bad as Oba, but yeah, it's definitely not unlike that. Cool how much faction diversity there was at Worlds, though. Seems like the most factions are playable despite diversity issues within factions. Yes, I'd agree. I think right now, in terms of actual like heterogeneity of meta diversity, we're in a really good spot. Like, we're genuinely in one of the best spots I've ever seen. I hope NSG comes up with more corp ideas like Op. That was a masterpiece. It's like really cannot be understated how good it is. Hey, Rosenheim, good evening. How you doing? If we ban Bologna, then NBN doesn't exist anymore is big. Some of you may die, but that sacrifice I'm willing to make energy for me. Well, I don't think Bologna is at the point where like it's making the game unhealthy. It's just you're tired of it because it's ubiquitous and it's powerful. And because it's there in every game. But I don't think what the text on Bologna is like massively unfair to compared to some of the cards that like in the history of Netrunner needed to get banned for the game to be healthy. Right? It's like the sort of issue where like we have to depower ice. Like the game wasn't great with things like DNA tracker arguably in it. And then like energy prints Karuna, nobody plays Karuna. Like it's a problem that will take time to fix. But if you just like kill the issue right then and there, you're going to make a worse game overall. So like, I don't know. It's not like, I don't know, frustrating a Kakugo or whatever. Happy with banning the whole NBN? Yeah, people don't love NBN, I don't think. Until dawn, have a Bologna ban and then bring back something old and other last savage memories before FG cards are gone for good. The problem is like NBN doesn't have good 5/3s, Sean. Like I don't think you can do it. NBN has never had a good 5/3. I've come around a bit on Bologna after trying to build with other NBN agendas. There's a ton of good options. Like Bologna's, it's an okay card. It's cool that you have to respect it. Like it's neat. It's good that it like incentivizes you to score it out. It's obviously powerful. It feels like that's the right level for 5/3s. Like 5/3s have to be powerful, right? Like you could argue whether you want to shave a number off of this. You could be 4/4. Probably would still be fine, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it too much. Mind you, if you're playing Lube, like you just imp the thing anyways, am I right? Take that, Hoshiko. Putting salt aside, I'd love to see something Jinteki got last set. Ban Obo, give them a more reasonable 5/3. Yeah, we could probably see that in the near future. What's an example of historically successful NBN deck that felt different from these? Rohit. Oh, shit. Good question. I don't think there's that many of them. Okay, so the history of NBN, according to me, with chat correction. So NBN was really bad for a really long time, sort of. And then when Near Earth Hub came out, like the big card that was a problem for a really, really long time was AstroScript pilot program, right? So this thing was in the original core set and its text is just absurd. It's just absurd. It's a 3/2. Oh yeah. There was a bunch of these like the world is yours decks. Classique is probably going to be a good example. But the idea is that you had Near Earth Hub, so you had 17 influence. You drew every time you put a card out, and then your deck used to be able to run 3 copies of AstroScript pilot program. 3 copies. This text, limit 1 per deck, was added later. You can tell the font is kind of messed up. So you had 3 copies of this. The first one you scored out was a 3/2, and then any card that you top decked was a 2/2. So you scored the next AstroScript pilot program, you install advance, score it, it gets its token, and so you can continue forward. That was like the first big NBN deck, if I'm not mistaken. It was just going as fast as possible. You also had really goofy cards like Shipment from Sansan, which meant you can score out agendas on 0 credits. Install Shipment from Sansan, move the counter over, good to go. Obviously you had Sansan City Grid as the backbone. Since then, like what's been really different in terms of NBN? That's very interesting. There were some decks like this that were just even faster. Psychographics, mind you, you did see that in NBN. These were just like kill tag punishment decks, make a lot of money, give the runner an agenda, and then mid-seasons them so they took a bunch of tags. Those are kind of fun. Psychographics, mind you, was like potentially a more I don't know. It's different than shipping from Ladisburg. It's less healthy, but you can win off of a single big Project Beal. That was always good fun. We had a bunch of really unhealthy kill decks that you almost won worlds time and time again. The big card there is not here, but it's in the other one. It was 20, what's it called? Breaking news. There's a whole bunch of decks around this that you would want to score one of these and then give the runner 2 tag punishment, and that would be like pretty bad for them. Yeah. I don't think I have a good answer here because I do feel like NBN as a faction has been like, you know, has always been more like HB. Almost all the cards are slappers. NBN had some pretty good ice going the past rotation. They still have some really good ice right now in Reality Plus, but it feels like there's always just certain cards that keep up the whole damn faction. I feel like I'm struggling to answer this. I wish we could just search NBN and see like a whole bunch of decks. Because like if we go into factions, maybe we'll see some of the old ones that they rotated. If we compare the overall way you play against Canal and the table cards from Runnerspect, they're pretty different. Yeah, I agree with that. That is true. That's true. Very true. NBN has always historically been a choice between fast advance and kill. Yeah, and then you get like people playing, you know, like real Glacier, like the grossest of Glacier, like Sokka, any excuse to play, oh, I thought this one would be on BioVault, but like any excuse to play Hyper Glacier into a meta that's not prepared for it. Like these are not fun, I don't think. Hydra is just an absurd piece of ice. Most expensive ice in the format. Very, very hard to deal with. It's Global Food, the best 5-3. I wonder if more Corp win cons than IDs. Love seeing Clearinghouse win worlds. Caught the stream just in time. Sadville, how's it going? Acme is like this. But like Acme Glacier and Ismari Glacier are, and GameNet Glacier are functionally the same. They're just Glacier decks that are using the fact that their ice is like too expensive to break. NBN has had like 0 defensive upgrades. That makes sense. Like that's actually a really big thing. Is like, and it's okay that factions have different weaknesses, but if I'm not mistaken, NBN has had 0 pure defensive upgrades, barring the certain one that like, what is it called? Hollywood Grid or whatever, that was like, you'd have to build around heavily. Oh, re-education spike decks. Yeah, that's true. Re-education combo decks are like real. The idea is that you score out a re-education and then the runner has no cards in hand and then you kill them with a neuro spike. Those are real. I know Solomir plays a bunch of them. I thought I was going to play into one of them on Saturday. Turns out it was just an Urtica Cypher. Got me. Harpsichord is really cool. Harpsichord was genuinely an interesting deck. It says a runner cannot steal more than 1 agenda each turn. So a lot of times you'd put multiple agendas on the table and say, go ahead. And you play a lot of small agendas that had bad abilities when the runner accesses them. This would largely just be another version of a mid-season's replacements deck and just, you know, like hard-hitting news into whatever. But it did functionally interact on the table a bit differently. This is like, this is the closest to like NBN actually being kind of really different. That's a good shout out. Bring Puppet Masters back. Gus says, we're just kind of rambling about NBN. We're going to play some decks in a second. How you doing? Congrats on the decks list of the week, right? Turn 1 Biotic Shipment from Sansan and Astra was always a irresistible line. I don't think I ever saw that. Ellen, how you doing? Red Herring way back when. Nick, how's it going? Red Herring, though, is not defensive, right? Red Herring is an offensive upgrade, right? Like we don't have Mana Garms. We don't have Anoetics. We have no way to stop the runner, if I'm not forgetting something, right? Like this... Okay, this technically is defensive. I'm thinking slightly more like, what's it called? The modern one. Amaze Amusements. You're right, this is sort of defensive. This is the closest to it, okay. But I think this might be the only card. The King Lane Disrespect? Keegan Lane is like, again, I think it's an offensive upgrade. And I'd argue Keegan Lane's massively unhealthy, but I don't know. They just haven't had anything to put in a remote server for a long time to protect their agenda. And that might be fine. NBN is heavily into proactive forks rather than direct prevention. I know, but then you still see NBN like Glacier being really good. So their ice just like scales really well. Yeah, Harpsichord is really neat. America CM? Thank you, D. What is this? Just logging in, probably already even talked about it, but I've got a soft spot for R+. I find it fun to play. I don't think R+ is going to be around forever. I'd be very surprised. Yeah, this is CTM. This is CTM. I don't know. CTM was its own thing for a really, really long time. I think there was always some interest in like the CTM asset slot changing. I think a lot of people hated playing against CTM. It's not too dissimilar to like just having an AR enhanced security scored in Reality Plus, as much as you can also get one scored in controlling the message. But these sort of decks like are basically forking. There's a bunch of really interesting ones too. Like even I think the year before this, where the deck was entirely just like getting as many data ravens on the remote server and then saying like, oh, is there a quantum predictive model on the remote server? Or is there not? And if they ever stepped out of line, hard hitting news. But like inherently, this deck is actually very similar to, I think, a bunch of the decks, specifically closer in a lot of ways to the NWE deck, where it's like we have a very good ability that disincentivizes you trashing our stuff, and if you do, we get you. And then the tag punishment is relevant. Unbed Virtual Tour is a messed up card. This did have a bit more fast events too. 3 Cali testing is kind of cool. I didn't realize that the Worlds deck had 3 Cali testing in it. Paul, how's it going? How's your testing been? Bernice Mai just gives a tag. It's not defensive, right? Amaze can be defensive. It's not. It's offensive. It doesn't stop. Amaze is not an additional cost. It's an ambush. Right? Like, if it was an additional cost, they could refuse it, but it's not. It's just like, whoops. And that being said, like, sometimes they'll prevent them from stealing it because they'll be like, it's an Amaze, I'm not going to run. But just keep that in mind. It's slightly different. Yeah, Bernice would just give a tag. There's something to be said about staying power of Toll Booth. Yes. Yeah, Toll Booth is still relevant. It's interesting. It's still relevant. Just a guy on the World Wide Web. 12 influence was meant to be a downside. 12 influence was meant to be a downside. It obviously is a downside. But the biggest thing to me is 12 influence existed as a narrative function, right? Like, I'd argue that 12 influence was assigned to controlling the message sooner because this was meant to be... Okay, so for those who don't know, this came out in the Flashpoint cycle. Flashpoint cycle was attached to this lore thing in Netrunner called the 23-second attack. I think something like that. And basically, if you've seen Mr. Robot, that. So basically, there was this huge credit crash where like amounts of debt were wiped, the value of the credit plummeted, and then that was disastrous for obviously mega corporations. Funny enough, the tie-in for this was Android mainframe. There's like this pretty not great re-implementation of this other Spanish abstract board game. This is called Android Mainframe, in which you play this abstract puzzle game about like, you know, getting shapes covered with your symbols. It's a bit convoluted. The plastic board is fine, I guess. And this was meant to be the beginning of the 23-second attack. They actually tied a board game into the lore of Netrunner. And after this, the credit tanked. And so then as a response, we saw so many identities coming out from that had 12 influence. And I think they talked about that in articles, obviously citation needed, that 12 influence was meant to be a representation of the corporations like kind of turtling up more because they don't trust anyone and they're like, you know, a bit more mean. And so we saw a bunch of more mean and kind of ugly identity abilities because the corporations are coming for blood. So you saw controlling the message, which obviously is like the meanest it can be in NBN. Then we saw things like Builder of Nations, which is like, I think there's blood, or is there at least rust on it? There's rust and blood on it, which is like, I'm going to hurt you if you come in, 12 influence, haha. We saw Potential Unleashed, which is like very much razor blade and blood, 12 influence, haha. And then even on the runner side, we saw that unfortunately hit runners where they gave like Khan 12 influence because narrative reasons. So I would argue that some of these 12 influence decisions were correct because it turned out a couple of these identities were amazing, but a couple of them were like unplayably bad, competitively at least. But that's largely why CTM got 12 influence. And this cannot be avoided also. Was added late in testing too, because the runner, one of the runners in that set was Jizminder, and people in testing found that matchup to be really no fun whatsoever when Jizminder turned the ID off. So that cannot be befriended clause was actually like really annoying, and nobody played Jizminder anyways. So they're going fine. Thanks for your tips. They're pretty helpful. Yeah, I really enjoyed the replay we went through. I want to do more of that. We have the most toxic corp in Netrunner, a faction defining ID, CTM, 3 mediocre Glacier, Architects of Tomorrow, and Builder Nations. Yeah, it was bad. It was like so swingy, right? This is the other one, Architects of Tomorrow, which like is legal. Mind you, back in the day, 12 influence. This is why. Is there blood on it? No, but it looks a bit dirty. They should clean that a bit. But yeah, it was largely because of narrative reasons that they have all 12 influence. And some of them were the worst IDs ever possible. Some of them like were world's contenders for years and people hated CTM. Obviously, hard hitting news is a big part of that. Some of them got banned for being as toxic as possible. And then others are like kind of unplayably bad. But hey, such as making a card game. I don't think I'd do that much better. Looking at Traffic Analyzer, damn, that's a bad card. There's so many really bad NBN upgrades. There's a lot. Corpse never got less than 12 influence as a downside. Meanwhile, Kick Cries in Corner. Is there not a 10 influence corp? There isn't, is there? What's Harmony MedTech? I think there is. There's doesn't Next have like Next Design have 10 influence? No, it has 12. Biotech? Sorry, Harmony MedTech. Does that not also have a scuffed number? 12. Okay, yeah, maybe not. Grendel. Does Grendel have less influence? Oh, Grendel has 10. I didn't know that. That's really fun. Again, this is also like the sort of, you know, And like, this is an early Netrunner card, so like it's not going to be amazing or like that interesting. But this is the exact sort of ability where it's like, I don't know. Like playing a Grendel deck, obviously Outfit is much more interesting than Grendel because Outfit makes you make more decisions. And obviously there's card support that cares about it. But just like starting with extra money, it's just like the early game sucks a bit. Try and win before turn 4. I never knew the lore behind the 12 influence decks. Is there some version of the reverse lore for Ag Infusion, NEH, etc.? Jonald, no. There is no lore version for those. I think that in testing, people thought either... Okay, actually, maybe. I think Near Earth Hub has a chance of having 17 influence because it is the hub on the beanstalk, so everything has to pass through it. So I think you could argue there's lore reasons why there's 17 influence here. Ag Infusion also is meant to be like part of this sort of like Plana Agroplex type thing, but on Mars. The 17 influence here I think would maybe be a balanced design because when this came out, this was super unpopular. There's a chance that in testing they wanted to have more influence to make it be more interesting. But I don't know have a strong lore reason for this to have 17 influence, but there is strong lore implications why NEH should have 17 influence because this is a very important part of the lore of Netrunner. Yeah, 12 influence on Corp must have been tough when 3 of those were for Spin Doctors. Yeah, I know. That's why CTM is still good. How does it feel to be done? Almost done with Cannon's videos, which I loved. We're done. How does it feel? It feels good. We can probably do like okay, this is weird. It was really fun to get back to doing that stuff and put it together. After finishing the series, there's a lot of stuff I realized like I would do this differently and we should have a better camera, for instance. We should be rolling longer before and after. I think there's different things like we saw throughout the series. I started showing tag removal. I probably should have a tracker for core damage, stuff like that. So there's a bunch of stuff where I would do it slightly different. In terms of the viewership, like I feel like we kind of messed up because it finished in November. Like, unfortunately, the Can Nats was in August, and putting the finals up in November is obviously very weird. We also had, you know, a big event between that with Worlds, and there was a small, you know, rotation, an important rotation, but we did lose a couple cards. Not rotation, a ban list, where we lost DreamNet. So some people, I think, are checked out, be like, I don't want to watch Hoshiko. Obviously, Hoshiko's in the finals. There is DreamNet in the deck. Of course there is. So I feel like that doesn't incentivize. That's not great. I wonder if going back, it makes more sense just to film the top cut and get it out faster, just so we can be like, here's 6 games of the top cut that are relevant to the meta going into Worlds. That might have been a better thing, but I also was slow to start the thing because I hadn't edited together a video for a while and I had to pull together all the old elements. It's weird. It's also like really strange because the viewership numbers on some of the videos that like obviously take a lot of time to put in is lower than the viewership of the stream. And I don't know if that's because there's more people watching the stream than there's the videos, but I think there's a chance that views are counted where like there's a lot of people that don't watch the stream in one take, where like they watch an hour of the stream and then obviously do something else and come back and watch another hour of the stream, and that's maybe logged as 2 views. So I don't actually know, but the viewership of some of the like Canet's videos are not good, and I think that's on me. It's because there are too many of them, they came out too late, and like some people are just tired of seeing Hoshiko, so I get it. So in the future, definitely interested in doing it again. I'd probably keep the scale down. I think there's some stuff that we learned from this. Obviously, this is the first time doing it in a long time, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's really important that these videos are out so people can see like how approachable like even top table gameplay is. Firstly, in terms of the commentary to make it clear and so you can read the cards, but also in terms of like people being friendly and people coming out and you see hopefully a wide enough range of folks. Like it looks like a cool event, and it was obviously a sick event. I was also like so nervous on the day because we had to spend so much time organizing the event that like I didn't do a good consideration to make sure the people on camera were trying to play different IDs all the time, which again is not a good strength of the series, where it's like we see a lot of Hoshiko, and that's because I'm running Canadian Nationals as opposed to being like, I probably shouldn't get 4 Hoshikos in like the top cut on camera. We just did not have the throughput for that. Oh, crud, we made Netrunner look friendly. Yeah, Grendel. CTM was stifling, but when you mentioned HHN was what put it over the top. Oh, for sure. Infiltration was the only Android Universe board game that was playable. I played Infiltration while IDing at a regionals in Ottawa and had a fantastic time. I would play it again. Poor Grendel already had a downside in its printed ability and got influence kneecapped. I know. My Twitch feed went down. Yeah, my Twitch feed went down for a second. It is back up. Let me know if it's back up. They probably just thought that the Corp drawing extra cards was potentially a downside. Yeah, there's a chance, Pete, right? Tuesday stream. Noah, how's it going? Welcome. Twitch down for me, heads up. Tuesday stream. Top Cut and Andy Weird Jank come across any weird? Gregory, sorry? I'm not sure I follow. Oh, Top Cut and any Weird Jank you come across. I guess an alternative would be slightly lower prod value and record, stream them live, and then just cut them to publish close to an event and maybe spend more time for Top Cut. The thing is, like, okay, so when it comes to the CanNet stuff, to me, it's so important that we do things like I want to make Netrunner as approachable as possible. So like tracking, you know, credits, tracking the card overlays, like to me, that's really important. It's hard to do that like live. It's not impossible. It's difficult to do that live, and it requires a production team because you require people to be casting. You require all that to be set up. And genuinely in this space, we did not have anywhere where we can put commentators. Like doing this live was just not possible. Finding a space they can do live commentary and also, you know, have a game store is like really, really difficult. So I don't know. Our workflow is actually relatively quick now that I could get out a couple videos in a week. That's good that we can actually hit the ground running really, really quickly. So it's a mixed bag. I enjoyed watching the vids, but I took my time with them. They were good viewing, but it didn't feel urgent. You might find they climb over time. I think they do, Dave. And that's what I'm like, I've seen that time and time again, right? Like some of the most viewed videos on the channel, and mind you, whenever I talk about numbers, it's important to understand that like as a content creator, numbers going up genuinely does make you feel good. Like there's no way around it, but it's more so not that I need the numbers to go up, but like it's very interesting to understand what people care about, and then you can use that to deliver more content so people can get more out of Netrunner. But if we go to like some of the most popular videos on the channel, some of them are just like finals games, right? Like this is a pretty good game of 2016 finals at US Nationals, and like the viewership of this just constantly goes up. And so I wonder if people just be like, oh, I want to watch a game. So they'll watch, you know, the grand finals of a US Nationals in 2016. The game was pretty popular back then. And so like this is just evergreen content. And I hope like the CanNets finals will be, and it probably should be. It's a very, very good game. It's like very, very good game. So yeah, we'll see. A viewership dropped off because it was just too much of the same Hoshiko, and the educational value of the videos dropped off with the change in ban restricted. Yeah, Gregory, I appreciate that because I think that is accurate. I think there's a lot of people that say like, oh, Asmari Glacier, I'd rather not. And like, yeah, I get it. Robbed of Josh's PE. Exactly, Kyle. There's a whole bunch of decks that we didn't see at the top that I really wish we did. Like we also, well, I'm not going to spoil it. There's a couple decks we didn't see. For some reasons, I find live play videos way more engaging than JNet videos. I don't think you're in the minority there, Nick. Live play videos are kind of awesome. Quality of the Nats videos are absolutely amazing. I've never been a fan of watching playback of live games because struggle to follow. You did an incredible job with them. Thank you, Bob. That's very kind. Twitch is back. Welcome back, everyone. Hey, Pink, I've been good. How you doing? How you been? Hi, how's it going? The high quality content might not be profitable, but there's inevitable value in attracting new players to the game. Yes. And like, that's one of the coolest things, right? About NSG, officially about this channel too, to some extent, is like, we're not doing things that are profit driven, right? Like we're supported on Patreon. It's huge. Thanks to everyone who supports the channel on the Patreon. So we're allowed to put the time in. And I'm glad that the series like this exists and there's more content like that coming up. I know Eric has been doing a bunch of stuff like this coming up on Neon Static and doing stuff like this. And it's better for the game. And that's the most important thing to me. And it's like, you can still see it as a cynical financial, you know, incentive down the line, but it's much better for the health of the game than it is like for the immediate viewership now. And I think that's great. Like, I'm glad that we can, you know, that makes sense for the model that we work within. We don't have to go for views. We don't do the clickbait stuff. We just do like, oh, this is probably valuable for a lot of people. So let's get this out there. The best I've seen, so I'm fine seeing them later. I'm fine seeing them later for that quality. Thank you, Nick. Suggesting Metropole Grid lowers the production value. Eric is like learning how to do After Effects and everything, and he's like hitting me up like, hey man, I run into this problem, how do we do this? So I'm really excited to see what he's working on. Ernesto, how's it going? I have a question about the rules for a Netrunner tournament. How is it decided whether I can play as a runner or corp? Can I change cards in my deck during the tournament? Greetings for Germany. Greetings, Ernesto. Firstly, if you want to find more official information, you can always find all these rules are on the NSG website. I don't know if the rules are translated into other languages, but if it is a double-sided Swiss tournament, that means when you sit down to your opponent, you have about 70 minutes to play both sides. Which side that you play first, corp or runner, you can decide there at the table. A lot of times I'll ask my opponent if they have a strong opinion, they can choose. I don't care unless I have a strong opinion for some reason, or we'll just roll a die. On even, I'll corp, on odd, I'll run. If you're playing single-sided Swiss tournament, that means you have 40 minutes and you sit down against an opponent and you only play one side of the match. But it is the tournament software that'll tell you to be like, in this matchup, you're playing against this player and you will be playing corp, they will be playing runner. You finish that match and that's it. So the matches are shorter, you do more of them, but you only play one side. Double-sided Swiss is technically the classic way to play Netrunner, and it's up to the two players to decide which side they want to play. If for some reason you can't decide, call a judge over, the judge will decide for you. I've never seen that happen. You just say, do you want to corp? And they corp. Easy. Can I change decks during a tournament? No, definitely not. You can't. And a lot of the higher competitive tournaments require you to submit a deck list when you enter the tournament. You have to play those cards. You cannot change. There's no sideboard in Netrunner. That's largely it, I think. The production team adjusting credit scores in real time. They have the players yell most money they have when they gain or lose credits. They just need like, you know, what's it called? Magic type trackers. Once you've seen Glacier, you don't need to see it again. Gregory, I would argue that like I understand it, but like there's a lot to learn by watching Glacier. It's just not interesting. Like it's not very interesting unless you're really diving into, but there's a lot to learn about proper Glacier play. You're doing good. Yeah, so thank you. Shiba Dog clapping his hands. Thank you. 5 years. That's very kind. Hopefully that answers your questions. And regardless of the donation, if you have any questions, please ask. That's very kind. Well, the release of the next pack, with the release of the next pack, what packs will be rotated in startup and standard? In standard, nothing. In startup, you're going to rotate out what's it called? The last cycle, the Borealis cycle. Again, this should be up on Null Signal Games. The rotation is going to get a bit more interesting next year. They talked about it. Oh, they just announced, Jeff just put this up. They announced the rotation policy. It's going to be a bit more expedited when it comes to standard because they're rotating a lot of cards, but much later next year. But when it comes to rotation, they have an article here. You can find it later. But when it comes to startup, there is Borealis will rotate once the second half of Liberation comes out, which should be early next year is what they currently say. But there's an article we haven't read yet that talks about it. But yeah, startup rotates a bit faster. Standard won't rotate until Dawn comes out, which will be in the latter half of next year. So you got a while. This feels rude, especially coming from a mediocre pseudo-lapse player such as myself, but I found that misplays on camera are weirdly annoying to my tiny goblin brain in a way I'm not proud of. Like misplays when you're watching a stream or watching live tabletop play. Because there's misplays. This is actually like a really big thing. Okay, hold on. This is going to be a bit of criticism maybe. There are certain tournament organizers, when talking about commentary, that will go out of the way to say, do not criticize misplays on camera. They say, don't do it. And I get it. Because if you are a new player, if you're not confident, you make a mistake, and then the casters say, like, that is an error, it feels really bad. It feels bad. Like, that's not good. You probably won't be on camera anymore. You won't be comfortable. I totally get that. Now, what I'm going to say is that at Worlds, on top tables, we saw some of the best players make mistakes. And it is the most interesting thing to call out. And not because we're better at Netrunner, but like talking to players after and they were like, oh yeah, that was a misplay. I almost threw the whole game. Like we had a really cool example of that. It was Bridgman versus Jackmate on stream. It was the first game on day 2. It's still like the first round of Swiss of the second day. So technically round 7, right? So the big thing they have to watch out for in op is Stavka. Stavka will trash your stuff. You can't have your programs be trashed. It's a problem, but Stavka will trash your stuff. Now, we didn't have a way to deal half-run Stavka, which is a bit more of a complicated combo, but the idea is the Stavka was going to fire. But Bridgman had Banhar. So Bridgman was making sure any server that he ran that had outermost unresed ice, he would Banhar that server. So he Banhars R&D. The outermost isn't resed. He goes through a sandstone, and then he accesses. Then he runs back. And he thought that the Banhar wasn't used yet because he actually broke the sandstone instead of taking net damage. But the Banhar's ability is fired on the first encounter. So Felix, Jackmage, reses the Stavka, half runs it, and ruins Bridgman. Bridgman made a mistake, and that's a really easy mistake to make, but that's such an important mistake to call out on casting. And it's so cool because it makes the game interesting. A lot of times people say in like high tier Netrunner or high tier card game plays, the player who makes the least mistakes wins the game. Kind of like chess, I think. I don't know much about chess, but like he messed it up and I understand why he messed it up. That's a really interesting interaction that's easy to mess up as much as he was focusing on don't get Stavka, don't get Stavka. And I don't think we called it out on stream because I'm not sure for that stream whether we were able to call out errors or not. I don't think there was like a hard policy on that. And like, I understand the policy of not calling out errors, but like that shit's so cool, right? Like Jackmate understood he's going to mess this up. Potentially I'm going to play to that out. He messed it up and he got caught with it. He still won the game. And like, I'm not saying this to dunk on Bridgman. I'm saying this because Bridgman is a killer Netrunner player and he still made a mistake at top tables. It happens. Of course it happens. We're humans. The game's hard. Bridgman's really, really good at the game. But I get it. I do see that every once in a while. While I watch a game, there's like really weird plays. I'm like, this game doesn't make sense anymore because nobody's making plays that make sense. Like, yeah, that's pessimistic and it happens, but there's still hopefully something worth watching. Excuse me. Am I the only one who likes watching Glacier? It feels like good old Netrunner, no gimmicks, no shenanigans. The things that you have to, like, as a commentator, make exciting about Glacier are different, right? Like, I don't think we did the best job when we were watching the last Acme game, but, like, I'd argue that Kyle also didn't allow us to do the cool thing. But, like, running R and HQ at the right time is the exciting thing about Glacier. Like, Kyle won the game, we'll spoil that, but like, so whatever, I can't be too critical about it, but like there were certain turns where like a good run on HQ was so much more interesting than a run on R&D for a single axis. And I don't think we saw any like great plays where that like you can make it exciting, but it's just kind of like playing against, you know, ETF Glacier circa 2016. It was like making the right run was exciting because it's hard to get singles that make it make sense. Mental fatigue is very real. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, people play way worse generally the later the game goes, like for sure. No way around it. I feel like Borealis got a bad shake and startup with no bans. I kind of wish we could keep it until Dawn releases. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be kind to Borealis and startup. I think you're right, Ryan. Card Market's live play series is so good, and I wish someone could do that for Netrunner. It's a perfect game for cutaway interviews to get the players' thoughts. Yes, Card Market, I do watch their stuff. I don't play Magic, but I still watch their stuff because it's interesting, and they do a lot of historical stuff, and the cutaways, especially with pro players, are amazing. Thank you for answering my questions. What exactly can I read more about this on Netrunner DB? No, the best place you can read it, if you go to Null Signal Games, they have a page that's for players, if I'm not mistaken. And if you go into here, there's a page. This always takes me a while, sorry, to find this. But if you go to either organized play policies, this will explain you how the tournament structure works. And of course, comprehensive rules has comprehensive rules. But in here, you'll be like, okay, it'll explain how double-sided Swiss works and stuff like that. This is written in like pretty dry, you know, English because it's meant to be, you know, a legalese rules document. But all this should be in here. Otherwise, if you're in green level clearance or you're, you know, in chat or in YouTube comments, just ask there. It works as well. But it should all be here largely. I'm pretty sure it describes double-sided Swiss, right? Probably does. I don't know where else it would be. Let me know if he does. The weird thing in Worlds is I had people say that the pairings on the right was Corp, but Judd said it was not the case. I think Color AI has support for randomizing, but maybe single-sided Swiss thing. Yeah, I don't think double-sided Swiss tells you what side to start. I do think on the stream there was color-coded chairs so that the what's it called? The production team could like set up the overlays earlier. That kind of made me uncomfortable because I think there's some incentives where players would really want to start Corp if they have a long Corp game. And so if they sit on the wrong side of the table, it kind of messes with them. And I don't want to mess with players on stream. You don't want to make streams be like a detriment. I didn't run Res of Funhouse and lost finals. Kyle, there was one turn where you installed the second B1001 and you didn't click for a credit. I think it still didn't matter, but like the fact that you didn't have 2 credits means you couldn't threaten out a shipment from Vladisa Burst. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously having the second B1001 is right, but 1 credit was so important. The first hit when you search DSS is the 2-for-1 section. I know. Shit, I saw that. I'm like, never mind. I've always declined the opportunity to go on stream because I don't need the extra criticism. I know how bad I am. The thing is, like, you have to understand that so far from what I've seen, when people are highlighting mistakes and like, hey, we make mistakes all the time on stream, it's fine. It's totally fine. Obviously, it's not a competitive event, but it's totally fine. Is that like still the Netrunner universe is very, very, very kind to that. Like, I don't think, and let me know if that's the case, not the case, as soon as possible. But like, it's, I don't know if anyone's been absolutely, I haven't seen horrible situations where like someone's made a mistake and then like they've, I don't know. That's not true. Maybe like I would be maybe uncomfortable if I was on stream and I played terribly, arguably. Pointing out errors should be fine. Yeah. Talking about misplays makes the commentators sound like players watching the game because people familiar with the game will also see them. Yeah. I think folks just know, like, I've watched streams where it's very clear commentators are talking around a wrong line and that hurts way more. I hear you on that. Netrunner is a really hard game to commentate. Obviously, I've commentated a lot, but that's also the case is that, you know, sometimes you get hung up on the wrong stuff. Sometimes you don't see the lines, right? Like sometimes even it's important to understand as a caster too. There's a lot of other things you're looking at where you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I've definitely been in cases commentating myself with people watching commentary where like the lines that are being discussed are not the lines that are relevant right now. And like, there's some amount of literacy where that gets, you know, it gets better for both the viewer and for both the commentator. Like it's hard. It's genuinely hard to commentate the game. There's a lot going on. But yeah, no, I hear you. That for me is probably more annoying than watching a player make a mistake, which is weird. But I don't want to make Netrunner commentating feel unapproachable. I feel like that sentence we did, we're going to walk that sentence back. I think we can get over that one. When I play, I'm a little league and calling my misplay would be like kicking a puppy. Jesus. It'd be weird to not call bad plays in college ball or pro to use sports references. Yeah, I don't know enough about, like, I don't watch enough like amateur sports stuff. I don't watch really any sports to understand, like, when there's an understanding that people are not like world caliber players, how do you call out a misplay? Because like I realize I do that when I just recorded yesterday and like somebody draws last click and we'll be like, yeah, you just don't want to draw last click. And like, I'm not saying like dunk on this person, but like it's an easy thing to call out. So people who watch the video can be like, oh, that's a good point. I'm not going to do that anymore. And like, I think that's for the better of everyone potentially, but I wonder how often somebody who sits across from me and I tell them I'm recording, they feel like, oh, I look like an idiot now. We don't often use that word. I shouldn't have used that word. Sorry. Someone who's misplayed on camera, missing every marrow trigger in a neon static video, easiest thing to miss. It leaves you kicking yourself, but it's important learning opportunity for you and others watching. Sophie, though, there's even, I think, a lot of folks that will not watch their own VOD. Right? Like if I was on stream, maybe, like I know. So I played in the CanNats finals circa 2015. It's on the channel. I was undefeated in the top cut. I lost really bad in the finals. Like the games are bad. I played poorly and I know it's there and I don't want to watch it. And I haven't watched it in a long time. I only recently watched it like a month ago because I was like, I got to bite the bullet and watch this thing. And more importantly, I'm working on content of another Canadian Nationals years later. Let's see what I did, because I don't remember what I did. But yeah, I played like ass. Like it was not good. And like for a while, I didn't want to rewatch the tapes because it was kind of embarrassing. But like, yeah, I'm undefeated, make it to the finals, and I get absolutely crushed. Really, really bad too. Like I'm watching my CTM play and I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing. So some people don't even watch their stuff. So you're already in a really good spot. And I think that's the most important thing if you want to get better Netrunners, like record your stuff, watch your replays, even if you get bodied, especially if you miss your triggers, because you won't do it again once you like, you know, it gets burnt in where you're like, I messed up. Terrence, 5S. What do you mean? Also seeing top players make some mistakes makes the game feel more approachable. Yeah, it's human. It's human. It's really good. I think it's all in how it's presented. If you talk about it in an educational way, then it's awesome. If you're doing it just to complain and be negative, then it's annoying to watch and listen. Yeah, I try and keep that in mind. I agree with that, Gregory. 5 years ago, I made a misplay against Dean at the semifinals at Toronto Regionals. I still think about it. Yeah, we all have that. We all, you play Netrunner long enough, you have those things where it just gets baked in to be like, burn me once or whatever. David, how's it going? Mistakes are part of competitive play, especially in high level play. You're battling your own brain as much as you're battling your opponent. Banhar and flailing is good enough. Especially near the end of a long tournament, I say it as if I ever made the top cut, mistakes will happen for sure. But even like round one, it's like, there's like a, you know, the hill. It's like round one, pretty bad. Middle game, we got it. Then like the late rounds gets messy again, which like untimed finals helps with that. Playing Keyforge, I was caught on camera losing the game in the last round of Swiss by forgetting to flip my key when I scored. Oh, yeah, that's a bad mistake. That one hurts. That one hurts. I don't even play Keyforge. That one can't feel good. I watched myself in slow motion install the third ice on R&D going, I'm going to be punished for not being able to res Funhouse. And then it happened. Yeah, but that's good. It's good it's on tape, right? Like, it helps in some ways. I was on a local tournament stream trying to play X-Wing while horrendously hungover, and I've never watched it back. Pete, one day you should do it. It'll be fun. It's really fun. Like enough time passes, everything becomes, well, not everything. Most things become comedy, right? Commentary would be so flat without discussing what could be done differently. Yeah, for sure. My first ever stream game was playing against IG Museum Prison, which I had never played before. Oh yeah, Thomas, there's no way of walking away from that and feeling good about it. Sorry about that. We're better for it, I hope. I've been on a stream a few times way back, and rewatching my games is an amazing way to spot ways to improve. Nick, I remember watching a game. It comes up under my recommendations. There's like a game from you and a game from Eric playing against Kiv on YouTube, which is great. I was sad I never got to be on Stream of Worlds, but I realized I committed the sin of running the NEHL deck. Yes, and there is considerations around that. And I honestly was saying like we should probably see less NEH on the top tables. Sorry, D. You can blame me as much as awesome production. I was on a stream for Effigy's 40k Conquest, which saved the VOD. Listening to commentators trying to decipher what I was doing was hilarious. I think misplay as a term has baggage. Celastin, how's it going? I think it does have baggage, but I do think there are just errors, right? Like, that's a term that comes up in baseball. You can make an error. You can just not get the ball when it goes through your legs. Like, that's an error. And I do think some Netrunner players make errors, right? Like, there are things that are just straight wrong. Right? Like clicking for a credit for the last click while Hoshika's going to lose you that one credit, probably straight wrong. Right? Like, there's a couple ones that are like, obviously there's like, you know, rules errors. Those are obviously errors and errors. But the thing is like sometimes like you want to avoid using the word misplay when it could just be you don't understand what they're doing. But like the Banhar, we talked to it's hard to call that straight up when we see it. But when we talked to Finn, he was like, yeah, that was bad. I messed that up. I have fond memories of being roasted by the Euros casting team while losing against Apex on stream. Sometimes it's fun to be a sacrifice. Mela, you built a bit different there. It's a play that perhaps wasn't optimal. No, yeah, no, I hear you, Talasan, but there's... I think we're saying the same thing, but I do think there are like technical misplays. There are ways to do sequencing that is just incorrect. But yes, there are a lot of unoptimal plays. That is true. There's a lot of things that can be described as unoptimal, which is true. But there is a smaller subsection that I just think are errors. That's fine. I'll say as a viewer, a lot of us really want to hear the casters call it misplays. It feels super weird when you're like, they missed a kill there, right? And the casters don't acknowledge it. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. It doesn't happen that often, which is great. I assume that people, okay, when you start playing Netrunner, sorry, in a competitive setting, I assume that people should be open to pointing out their errors. In a casual GNK with newcomers, I understand it's a bit different. Yo, real talk. We had a GNK this weekend. There was 11 players. 4 of them were new. Give me 1 second. The doorbell just went off. I'm pretty sure it's an Arc Nova package I need to grab. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Thank you for your patience. Oh, excuse me. I don't think I ever want a game on stream, and nerves is definitely a part of it. It doesn't help. Some people get more powerful on stream. Some people get less powerful on stream. It's important to understand which camp you're in, and don't feel bad saying I don't want to be on stream if you're in one camp. I ran up 2 flights of stairs. I'm out of breath. What's everyone doing? I think when the commentary gives the context of misplays happening because of pressure of the game state, it's totally fine. Yo, Peter, hola. ¿Cómo estás? Making editing videos are also skews perspective. If you're accustomed to seeing yourself on camera, all of this is a bit less painful. You say that, but I still don't want to watch my can-ats. I'm really out of breath. I really should not have done that at that speed. Remember that Store Champ final in Burlington? When I was playing Noise versus Vincent's HB Glacier and I floated a tag for half the game and neither him nor I noticed? Yeah, that was really fun actually. Oh, I'm going to clean the tag and everyone's like, what? Yeah, I had that tag for like 6 turns. You have like an Aesop's pawn shop. First ever tournament game is recorded. I go back to watch it every once in a while. Can't get over how much my hands were shaking. I think we played Andre. I know we have a game on the channel a long time ago where I was playing like Quetzal Faust or whatever. I actually like listening to the commentary on my stream games after the fact more than just watching the recorded game. I'm still very much learning this game, so I learn from those who know more. Yeah, no, it's like, it's helpful. Metropole Grid unboxing video. Box pickup video. Not icing HQ against Crim, it's suboptimal. I think we called that out in one of the games where like HQ doesn't get ice against SM. Like, that's probably suboptimal, which like, it's a way to say it. Yeah. I rather hear misplay over the used magic punt. A punt is a mistake. It's a strategy to voluntarily give up the ball in ways to put the opposition disadvantage. Yeah, punt is definitely not a charitable term. Unboxing vid? You want to see what's in the box? Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Leaving us for delivery? It was important. Q bow with an upcoming spoiler. Favorited stream game of Netrunner? Give me recommendations to be a better player. Oh, that's a hard question, David. Yeah, okay, hold on. So actually, I want to start this with this because this is so cool. You excited to say something about the GNK? Arc Nova distracted you? Okay, 2 things in a row. Firstly, I'll show you what the box looks like. Secondly, we had a GNK. We had 11 players. 4 of them were their first tournament coming out. It was killer. It was so cool. It was also single-sided Swiss. So like I played 5 different people. So I ended up playing 3 of the newer players. And it was a lot of fun. I'm super excited to meet them. If you're all watching, hello, how's it going? But yeah, no, it's just so cool when you go to an event and like nearly half the room is like, hey, this is our first tournament. We're really excited to be here. And I hope they had a good time because the prize support was entirely just like raffle and like, it wasn't like top weighted. So everyone walked away with a lot of stuff, which is sick. Really, really cool. Other thing I want to shout it out. This is a local game store. I haven't been there in a while. The management changed, but this game is here. Do you know what this is? This is a little, it's called Jockmock. It's like a set placement game that's produced by WizKids. It'll be here apparently on November 10th. the person who made this game is Nemec. You might know on our channel, we did a bunch of card game stuff with Nemec cards. Nemec was that player who, Nemec, I never spell it right, that put together like a custom set of like 400 plus custom Netrunner cards. They work in the video game industry, and they put out this game, and it got picked up, and it's now published. And it's like a really cute set placement game. It's a mixture of like the movement of like Tokaido, and then like set collection of games like Sushi Go. And it's about like going around a path and collecting really kind of like Higa winter market stuff. And it's out soon. And it's just really cool to see that, like, I understand that he was working on this and it got picked up and it's now in stores. I find that to be absolutely adorable. So well done, Henrik. That's really, really cool. That's all the way over here on the other side of the ocean. That's really cool. All right. You just want to see, hold on. You just want to see what, it's a blue box with like a fish on it. All right. Welcome to your board gaming review channel. We talk about, which one of these is the wide camera? This is funny enough. This is the second copy of Marine Worlds that I own. This one was ordered in from, I'm pretty sure 401 Games. And then there's a second copy that I'm picking up locally. The thing is, like, my partner and I, we love Ark Nova, but also it's my sister's birthday next week. So part of her gifts is this copy of Ark Nova, but we didn't know if stores were going to have it locally in time. So we ordered one from Toronto, which ships in really quickly. And then there's another one I have to go down the street to pick up. So we got 2 copies from 2 different stores, and we will do a secret review to tell you which one's better. So if you haven't played Ark Nova, it's really good. It's apparently somewhat like Terraforming Mars. I've never played it, but it's about running a zoo. And the person who made the game is like pretty invested in zoos being a good thing, where he cares about, you know, the game is not so much about making the most money, but it's more about like conservationship and making sure that people and things are happy. And it's good. It's like a very non-cynical take on zoos, and there's a lot of like respect and care put into it, making sure representation of things are right. Inherently, there's a lot of monkeys in it, but when it comes to like chimps, not part of the game, because the maker of the game says like I don't think these creatures should be in zoos, because there's a bit more, you know, there's strong thoughts about how that should work. This expansion, from my understanding, I haven't opened yet, is meant to be quite good. This came out in Essen a couple weeks ago, and it does a couple things that are meant to be pretty exciting. I can't really show you the stuff because the camera only works one way, but the big thing it does 2 things. Firstly, what it does is it adds a whole bunch of new animals, and specifically a lot of these animals require a water, like what are they called? Aquarium tiles. So they need to go in something that requires it. But I think the one thing that more people might be excited about, because it opens up the base game in a way that I think some people might have frustrations when you're, you know, like 60 games into it, which I think at this point my partner and I have played this game most out of any board game that we own, is that it adds a bunch of these. So these are alternate versions of the base cards. Sorry, it's really shiny. So at the beginning of the game, this looks like a normal build card, but it actually has slightly different text on it. Wait, is this the normal one? Oh, okay, these are different, right? So for instance, this is a build card that is a unique build card. So on its own, it's a normal build card, build 1 building, but it says to a maximum size of X plus 1. And when you upgrade it, it'll even be better. So sorry to get the shine right. Build 1 or more different X plus 1. So that's the big difference. Not the most, I think, greatest example, but all of these cards are bespoke versions. So this is like the basic version of the card that lets you draw cards. But at the beginning of the game, you're allowed to draft cards. So you have this version that allows you to do the digging side action. So before the game starts, you get to draft some of these powerful cards. So everyone's like board state of the abilities that they have, the actions they have, will actually be bespoke and different. And I reckon you can play with these without actually playing with any of the base, any of the other animals, if you want to keep the deck as thin as it is. And then there's additional like scoring cards that are rebalanced. So I'm assuming Aquatic Parks has better scoring on it, because that kind of stunk. Large Animal Zoo, they just have like slightly, you know, tuned numbers after, you know, years of feedback, which is nice. So there's a bunch of different parts to it. There's the whole new animal system. There's also a new symbol somewhere that I think when it comes in, I don't think it's one of these symbols, but there's cards here that when they enter the board, they like move the board. So there's a lot more like fluidity with seeing new stuff and the sort of like marking the side of the board. So there's just a lot of things that I think overall are going to make the game a lot more interesting. So that's really sick. I also don't know what this is, but there's just a whole bag here of penguins. Oh, it's even painted. Nice. That's really cool. I'm excited about this. Arc Nova is really good. In short, how Arc Nova works, it's a really cool system, is that in front of you, you have a tableau of 5 base actions you can do, and they're in front of you in a row, and each card lines up with a number. So on the far left, it's card 1. On the far right, it's card 5. And whenever you do an action, you do that action, but you do it at the strength of where the card is placed. So if I do a build action on slot 4, it builds with a power of 4, which means I can build a building of at least 4 sizes or less. Now, if I want to build a 5 size building, what do I have to do? I have to wait for that card to go higher up. Because anytime that you use an action on the card as your action that turn, after you've done that action, so if I do a build on 4, I take the card, I put it all the way down at 1, and I shift everything up. And it's such a cool system because every action you take largely dictates the power of all the other actions in the upcoming turns. So inherently, because the most efficiency, 9 out of 10 times would be always doing the action at step 5 on the highest 5 power, it takes a while for any card to go back up there. It'll take 5 different actions. And that mechanic is just so absurdly satisfying, where sometimes you'll take a slightly unoptimal move because in 2 turns, I need the build action to be back up on 5, or I need sponsorships to be on 4 so I can play a card in my hand. And it's just such a cool system because inherently it not only encourages, but it kind of forces you into diversity, where you don't end into certain play patterns, which you can see in other games where it's like clearly the right thing I should do is just that same action over and again, like print eggs or however the heck that bird game falls apart. But it's a really cool system. It's very, very, very satisfying. I dig it. Anyways, we're gonna play that tonight. We'll let you know more about it if you want to. And let's finally play some Netrunner, I guess. I really like the action card system in Arc Nova. It forces you to plan ahead and gives you lots of things to think about while waiting for your turn. Yes, it's really, really good. A lot of the base systems of Arc Nova are fantastic. I thought I was going to be part of that camp that didn't love the sort of like 260 card deck of unique cards. But while there have been some games that I'd argue are non-games because you just don't draw well, you generally have enough like agency, and apparently this expansion even encourages that by having a bit more fluidity and giving you a bit more ability to search through the top of the deck to look for something. The balance of the final scoring cards is my biggest criticism of the game, but I absolutely love it. Been jamming games on BGA. Hey, Drew, thank you. Glad you like it. The balance of the new or the old ones? Must have missed the games at Essen, but with 1,600 new games, that's pretty easy. Yes, Dunch, how's it going? How's Essen? Love Arc Nova, but man, setting up a killer end game turn is really hard. Oh, Merrick, the end game is always really, really fun. Last like little effusive praise for Arc Nova is that the game has, not only do rounds have unknown length, because there's certain actions that push this thing called the break token up. And whenever the break token goes over the finish line, the round ends and then you do upkeep and you get income and you like have to discard to hand size, is that only certain actions push down that break token. So you actually don't know how long it's going to be until you're going to have your next upkeep step. And you're going to get your workers back from the board. And that's really cool because certain players are going to be more incentivized to do that quicker, while certain plays require you to hope that people don't, hold on and hope that people don't push it down too fast. And that tension, I think, is super, super satisfying to not know how long the round is going to be. And then sometimes your opponent wants to push the round because they have money issues, and then you have to play around that. But my last thing is that there are 2 large scoring tracks on the board. One side is the appeal of your zoo. So basically how cool the zoo is, which directly relates to how much money you're making because people want to come in to see the cool wolf you put in there. And the farther that goes up, the more income you make. Fantastic. That goes up by making a more appealing zoo for people. Then on the other side of the table is the conservatorship track. And that track is harder to go up because it requires you to like release animals into the wild, to like support conservation projects, which take a bit more, forethought to push your way there. You don't honestly do them by accident. You have to kind of go out of your way, but the scoring on that is a bit bigger. So every 1 conservation point is worth like 3 or 5 appeal points, right? But the game is not over at a set amount of rounds. The game is over because these tracks start on opposite sides of the board and wrap around. The game is over as soon as the first person, their 2 tracks meet. which is really fascinating because some games it meets because conservation is doing okay and then the appeal kind of eclipses it. In other ones, conservation is doing really good and you don't have a lot of appeal, which is a bit harder of a win, but you don't know how long the game is going to be. And the game is only over once both of them overlap. So inherently incentivizes you to some extent to do both of them with the same amount of efficiency, as much as certain board states will dictate that's not possible. And I think that's just an absolute charming way where you don't know how long the game's going to be because there's two tracks and you have to make them overlap. And so it's really cool. It's just very, very, a lot of smart systems in there. The two, the cool wolves, number one, number two. Some are hard to get a 2 CP even if you focus your whole game around it. Others you get 4 CP for doing normal zoo things. Yes, Drew, I agree with that. I've had some frustrations, and my partner and I, when we're playing 2 players, there's certain like end game scorings that we just ignore. We just be like, you can mulligan this one. This one doesn't feel very good at 2 players, and that's totally fine. All right, let's finally play some Netrunner. I'm so sorry. We're like an hour in. Yeah, an hour 30. Man, my main complaint about Ark Nova is that the Moose card has the Europe tag instead of North America. Are there moose in Europe? Let's build a deck. Anyways, Ark Nova is good. All right, so we want to play some A Teia. I think we're going to start by playing A Teia Fast Advance. It was something that showed up. I would argue that maybe it's a bad matchup into the amount of, what's it called we're seeing right now? Clot. Swedish elk. They have reindeer, though. They have an elk card. They have a reindeer card. There's actually, like, legitimate moose. We call them elk, though. Elk and moose are different, aren't they? Yeah, we're going to try and do some A Teia Moonpool stuff. Moose are a chocolate brown color, whereas elk are a light brown with a darker brown neck. So it's a different colorway of elk. That was the old paint style. Oh, no, they're actually different. That's how you can tell. Moose and elk are different. Very cool. Americans call red deer elk. I live in Norway. There are tons of them. All right, so A Teia has text on it, which I promise you at some point is going to be incredibly relevant. There's no way that this text is not a powerful ability as much as it's not now. Moose are native to North America. Moose is an Algonquin word. Yeah, I'm like, moose seems so quintessentially North American. That's really strange. So it says the first time, limit to remote servers. That's fine. That's good for streaming. The first time each turn you install a card in the root of or protecting a remote server, you may install one card from HQ in the root of or protecting another remote server, ignoring all costs. You cannot score the second card this turn. So it's like Ace Group, except we have to build in different servers instead of the same server. Now, interestingly, either of them can be an agenda. The important thing is you cannot unscore the second card this turn. So if you cheat out an agenda by getting a free install at the start of the turn with like a Jinja City Grid, that's not going to work. So we have to go a bit harder, as much as it's not that difficult. Generally, you want to install the agenda, and then on that same A Teia click, you install the Fast Advance piece. So something like a Moonpool. On top of that, the difference between this and Ace Group, while of course it's 2 different servers, is that it ignores all costs. Which means we actually have an ability that scales into the mid to late game, where for a click, we not only save the click to install the ice on our first server, we can save like 2 to 3 credits by getting it out on top of ice. So this pulls you in like a whole bunch of directions. While you can't directly asset spam because it doesn't really make that much sense, you only have 2 servers. You can either build tall servers quickly and relatively cheaply, as much as you end up in this situation where you don't really know what to do with your second server, like maybe just float a Maryland is enough, and I'd argue that maybe that's the case. I think one thing I'm really excited about is trying out the sysops, because let me tell you, I've been running a HB deck with 3 Vovo in it, and like as long as you're going fast enough, 3 Vovo feels really good. So the idea is that you install Vovo or you install Adrian Seiss in the sacrificial remote server, and then you just slide it in for a credit, which gives out some information, but then hey, at least you got a free install, so maybe it balances out. So I think that's definitely one way to do it. The other ways, we saw the Fast Advance lists, and I want to pull one of these up. I know Sokka was playing one of them early on in APAC and almost made the cut. I think there was maybe a 2-for-1 or something in the last round. He was very close on the bubble. I just searched Sokka. Let's not do that. A Teia, and we'll do Moonpool. But some of these decks, there was like 2 versions of the deck. There was the deck that was on just like as many Fast Advance pieces as possible. And then there were the versions that were also on timely public release, which is an agenda that's seen like literally no competitive play forever. So this was very early on, mind you, this is like 2 or 3 days into the expansion coming out. But the idea is that we play bacterial programming, which is just pretty good, as much as this is not a kill deck. Then we play a bunch of small agendas, and we need a lot of agendas in the deck. Because for a single click, we can install a Yagi Uda, and we can install a Moonpool, and then we can go Fast Advances as long as we have enough cards in hand. This can be hard to deal with, and there's actually a certain board states where you can fast advance a bacterial programming from hand, which, if you're audacitying, feels like a downside because you discard your hand, but then you draw back up with the bacterial programming, so you undo the damage that you just did to yourself, which seems really, really good. Now, the other versions of the deck too, we have this sort of like, TPR versions that are just running like seamless launch and are basically the rushiest decks you can get. So we have 3 seamless launch, and we're actually scoring at 4 2s. So we're no longer doing the fast advance stuff with Moonpool, which is relatively expensive, but now we have a bit more ability to just put something in a remote server with Adrian Seiss behind like a, I don't know, an early Enigma might be good enough, and say like, okay, if we score it out, it's a potentially a TPR, which with the TPR, we can score out even a seamless launched agenda. Because the timely public release, it gets 1 agenda counter, and then you install 1 piece of ice from HQ or archives in or protecting the server, ignoring all costs. So if you do that after the runner spent their last click, you do this on their turn. So then you install a piece of ice, and then you use a Teia to install an agenda. Then your turn starts. And so A Teia no longer cares about the fact that you cannot score the second card this turn, because that was a different turn. And then you can seamless launch, because seamless launch says it wasn't installed this turn. So you can definitely score out a timely public release and make it as if it's 4 points, because you're all but guaranteed to score out the second one. TPR is basically a fast advance play. It is, but it's attached to a 4-2, which is kind of ugly. But yeah, that's the idea, right? But what lets you res Moonpool for 1 credit once you're at threat, which could be excellent. I don't know how well we hit threat 4. I was thinking about this the other day. The difference in playability of the threat 3 and the threat 4 cards is like super, super notable. It's like really notable. Moose is Alcus americanus. Elk is Alcus alcus. Confusingly, Americans use the word elk for a deer species. Yes, we do. But when Europeans say elk, they're referring to a type of moose wild. Yo, Z, Tranquility Grid feels great in A Teia. I have no doubt it does. I think that's the version, like, we're obviously not going to be playing any of the other regions, so we're not going to be doing this sort of like mid-range Glacier Lacosta stuff, which Lacosta we've tried before. But we need to decide whether we want to go for the TPR, like, kind of rush plan, or whether we want to go for full, like, sports metal-esque fast advance, or whether we want to push for a remote server. I don't know if we have enough time in the day to do all of them, so let's see where we want to start. TPR window on JNet is annoying. Why? TPR seamless version also bypasses Claude. Yeah, that's for sure, because we do everything on their turn. I think we can try by playing this deck. I saw like nobody play this deck after. There's some things that are really weird. Like the Nico campaign is so strange to me. Obviously it's tempo positive and we can get out clicklessly while putting a Rashida on the table. Is it better than a Marilyn? Maybe. It's technically credit positive. We have a fair bit of ice. We're on what? 16 ice? No, that's not right. 17 ice? That's a lot, right? That's 14. Yeah, 17 ice. The Agiutas are just absolute stinkers, but you have to play them. And then we have hybrid releases as well. I think that with 11 agendas, like you could even consider putting in some amount of potentially like real moon pools and go from there as well. But we'll see. I think we'll try this as a start to see how it feels. I remember playing on JNet as well, trying to record games, and I was so absolutely surprised when somebody like totally, you know, we had them locked. They were on this sort of version, right? And they were doing, you know, pretty good. But then we got down and we were playing Criminal and we got all our breakers down. We locked the top of R&D. We were locked HQ and we're like, haha, we have you. We have you. There's no way that you can fast advance. We finally caught up and we've locked you down. And then they played Simulation Reset. And I don't know what the line was, but this impressed the hell out of me. They played Simulation Reset. They trashed their 5 cards from their hand. None of them were agendas. Then, in one click, they installed out a Moonpool and like a 3-2. And then they audacity'd. Or sorry, they Moonpooled first and then they audacity'd. But basically with like a 6-card hand after mandatory draw, they Simulation Reset, rebuilt the combo, and scored from hand with 2 clicks left. After we had locked the top of R&D and we've seen all of HQ as a criminal deck. And I was like, whoa, that seems incredibly powerful. I think we might have been blown out by like a really low odds chance of winning the game. But like cards like this seem very, very interesting. The interaction between Moonpool and Audacity is actually sick. Yes. Yeah, because you Audacity first and then you Moonpool the agendas back. It's a very cool interaction. It's subtle how like good those cards overlap. So whatever, let's try the real like full fast advance version first, because I think it's going to be more interesting, and then we'll go from there. So I think it's really cool. Hey, Game Droids, how's it going? Catching a Tuesday stream on my lunch break. Hey, everyone. How you doing? This is our first... We've been on for a while. This is our first Netrunner game today, so buckle up. Really curious where Jinteki is going to be headed in post-FFG environment. My entire experience with Jinteki has been personal evolution and Vention lockdowns. Jinteki's hard to design for. Very interested to see where it goes. The last set was pretty good. We got some Jinteki ice that doesn't feel terrible. That kind of what am I doing? That fits into both camps, which is good. A Teia now, being the new Acme, showing up at the top, means it's really easy to deck build. If you hit TPR after the runner ends their turn, the seamless doesn't work. It's the same as discard a card to Keeling. I just res, please. Oh, yeah, that's annoying. It's not the most annoying, but yeah, I see what it means. Okay, so if they end their turn, it doesn't get the start of turn timing right. Or like which turn is which turn timing right. All right, Corp, let's go. Which, hold on, that's not right. That, yeah. I work in wildlife science, and there's a reuse of the word elk between North Americans and Europeans. Always causes a ton of confusion in conferences. Oh, super cool. You seem like you knew more about elk than the average person. That tracks. I miss Jinteki mid-range that scores Niseis. Is there a viable deck these days? There's a chance that a Teia can do it. Oh, Moonpool is really cool with Sabotage. I think there's a small chance that a Teia, if anyone can do it, because they can go fast enough, and this is like an ASIC group. I think you have enough defensive upgrades. Like you have Adrian Seiss, you have Anoetic, so there's a chance. The biggest issue though is like Jinteki is missing a bunch of the sort of like economic options that aren't like kind of hard to play. So like Hansei Review is a bit expensive for what it is. Mindscaping is like the closest we have to some sort of like, you know, red level clearance that like it's so, I don't know, niche to me. I'm not super excited about this card. Jinteki's a disaster. Yeah, it's like the card pool is just missing like, you know, I don't want to say bring back Engram Flush, but like having a mid-range ice you feel good about. Like what ice costs less than 5 credits you're happy to res in Jinteki? Which like every other faction is spoiled with those options, barring maybe Wayland, but Wayland's fine. This is not good. That's better. I thought actions you can take before clicking start a turn still count as being on the runner's turn. Yeah, JNet has a problem with it, I think. All right, this is gonna be hard to play. Jinteki has snare, they don't need ice. Yeah, but then they need to pay for the snare. Like there's so many games I played where the corp is played for snare, I'm like, sick. They just don't have 4 credits. Yeah, Tattoo Bola, that's right. Tattoo Bola, and that's it. Yeah, Tattoo Bola is obviously a huge hit for Jinteki, and that's pushing them on the right track. Like Tattoo Bola is really good. All right, so we don't want to get sabotaged. So we're gonna ice up HQ so we don't get Shastushka. Enigma's probably fine. Our next turn, we can do Ice HQ. The first event in NGO front's the really good one. So we can set up an Anansi on their remote server. I think that's probably fine. So we do new remote, A Teia. We advance this once. Ablative is great in A Teia. Yeah, Ablative is really good, but that's influence, right? Like Tucana is really good. I think Tucana should be like a, I don't know, I've been playing Asa Tucana decks and like I kind of want to play 3 Tucanas in Asa or in A Teia. Like it's just an absurd ability. Tucana firing A Teia or firing Asa is so gross. Beware of unoptimal plays. We'll be fine. We did unoptimal it. I don't want to res here, so if they trash the Spin Doctor, they win. If they hit anything else, shit. Come on. Nice. That was a 1 and 3. That's the card you want for sure. We could consider, but like the click they lose to this, they gain on the card draw, so it's like not great to res this and show them what it is. Ooh, cool. Ligu. Fermenter, nice. All right, Mavirus, that's interesting. We can always install on top of the NGO front to get something here. But here, with the Spin Doctor also, we might have wanted to ice it up just because it's really important with Teia. So we could do this in server 1, this in server 2, just advances and hope they don't run it. Because I don't know if they run here with 3 cards in hand. Lagu, let's see what they get. They lost a buffer drive, they gained a card, and we'll advance this once. So like scoring out the longevity is pretty good. We can put the Spin Doctor back in the deck. We also could have kept in the hand 2 Audacity, which is maybe the safer play. We'll see. Like this is also the problem. It's like the 3-2 that Jinteki has access to compared to the 3-2 that like all the other factions have to access to. It's the worst, and by a mile. It's so much worse than the other ones. We're gonna send it. We want 2 cards in hand because it's scary. Because we are going to want Audacity. Final moose trivia, and I'll shut up. The highest concentration of moose per square kilometers in Sweden. What is the ratio of moose to like people? Like I love the fact that I think it's Australia has more sheep than people. I think that's charming. Also, I'm pro sheep. All right, so this. All right, This is sick for us. Orez, gain 8. We get a free purge. Doing a single net damage for 3 credits seems like a lot. You checked. Now, the difference between them not checking archives this turn means we can longevity and save the 5-3, which, like, I'd like to do that. I think Joe's deciding to trash it or not. Yeah, for 0, I don't think there's a big punishment you're expecting to Jinteki. All right. Well, that's 3 points. Look at the top 7. Let's do it. Okay, hybrid release is really powerful into Essa, that's for sure. Amaro hasn't come down yet. Longevity serum is looking a bit mid. Can't wait for the Jinteki flavored NGO front. It's really interesting to see how they're going to do NGO front before. I was talking about this on the weekend. You're aware there was an NGO front before NGO front? Does anybody know what card I'm talking about? There was an NGO front before NGO front. It was just a lot worse, but it had the exact same largely text. Oh, this is never fun. Pathinimus and Archives is good. Pathinimus and R&D is fine. Drawing 7 in this deck, sorry, thinking, is like probably wrong on the basis that we have an Audacity in hand. Thomas Haas, yeah, that's it. It was Thomas Haas. Tattoo Bull and R&D is also fine. Discard none. That might be wrong. Card to move to HQ. It's behind Enigma. We'll do hybrid release with Thinimus. So we can just have these 3 on the top, and that's probably fine. I don't know how many we move to hand. That's probably too many. Something like that. That's probably scuffed. I don't know. This one's way too hard to think through, especially on, like, in person. It's a lot easier. Online, no. We're generally excited for Eternal IG deck, Thomas. There are about 10.5 million people in Sweden. There's just under 500,000 moose. So 1 moose per 21 people. That seems reasonable. That's pretty good. I think 21 people can, like, take care of a moose. Like, I don't know if I need access to a moose more than once every 21 days. Okay, that's scary. We have to deal with that. It is an Enigma, which is not that relevant. We actually could consider trashing this. That might be correct. We can get a tattoo there on Archives. Or, sorry, on HQ. We know R&D is safe for a while, so Sabotage, well, we know the top 2 is not that good. So I think we will ice up HQ. I think we can ice up Archives in this deck. And we want to keep this in hand. So here, if we Mindscaping, there's 1 unknown on top of the deck. Obviously, this is order lull, but we saw what these were. Something like that. Moose are quite... David, come on. This is a moose expert. You're talking about eating the moose. I think a Jinteki and NGO front would both be very appropriate in faction. Would serve as the set traps, go snap, or Jinteki play. Yeah. Why aren't you audacitying all these cards? Yo, Seabass, how's it going? I don't think we need to. Like, these we can score from hand. This we can score from the table. Like, I just don't think we have an incentive to audacity. All right. Trash any number of cards. We'll just get the text on it. We're going to trash anyways, right? So shuffle 3 back in. Longevity, Virus. I think the NGO front's probably the most interesting. And now that they Sabotage, we can hybrid release and get the Enigma back on the table. Like, that's good. Every class of children in Sweden can have a pet moose. And it would honestly be a really good thing. 20 kids taking care of 1 big old elk. Yeah. All right. They slow down. I don't think you should. I just thought you said you were planning on playing Audacity this turn. Oh, no. I don't think we want to play Audacity anytime soon. We want to do it with the Spin Doctor on the table or to score out a Bacterial. So here we just hybrid release to get ice on anything. We're going to be down to 8 credits, which is good enough. We actually can't get the Spin Doctor on the table, which is like a fine place to put it. That's good. Lagu. I still haven't felt good about Lagu as much as Lagu's been seeing play. Like, I don't know if it feels better than Earthrise Hotel, but obviously, like, I don't know. Face down. So we can just put this on Archives. Or sorry, on RD, I mean. Wouldn't mess with someone with that elk. All right, so here we want to score out. This takes us to 4, and then we can win on 2 fast advances. This looks like it's lamb into Begamet, so they're probably not running any other breakers. It's pretty cool. All right, so they know they can get through this barrier. We still want to res it. They won't. They'll break the subroutine. This is fine, and then we make 2 credits, and we get a better card, which is much harder to lamb through. They could bounce off of this if they want to. They might. Yeah, they might actually. That maybe wasn't the right res, because now they understand they can Chistushka, which maybe that's a mistake for us. But we have a Spin Doctor on the table, and we have a hybrid release, so the Chistushka is actually not that bad. You don't need to call a judge when scoring hybrid release to prove you're installing something legal? No. It's just like the basic rules of Netrunner, where like every install, you have to do a legal install, right? Like I don't have to call the judge to tell you that this is a nice. I think it falls in the same category. It's no different, right? Yeah. Outside of like the base game rules of the game, which like aren't policed by judges, the only time you need to call a judge is when it's like you have to prove that something is a thing that falls in a more narrow condition case. As weird as that sentence is. There's a light the fire. That's pretty good. That scares our Spin Doctor a wee bit. So now we have an incentive to get another ice on HQ. Mindscaping hits unknown cards. I don't think we really want to hit the hybrid release here. We now have 2 copies of Audacity, which is not great. 1 card to add to the top. The Mavirus on the top is kind of fine. If they go from 10 to 18, it's like, it's not the biggest difference as much as it is the big difference. And it costs, what, 7 to go through Anansi? Yeah, our money's messed up. A Teia are going to deck the runner with Lago. It's only the first time a turn. So it's not like they have to do it twice. And that being said, it's also May. So there's a couple of reasons I'll be okay, I think. What would you do if your opponent Audacity a card and just left it there? What do you mean, Pink? They go Audacity on the table and left it? I think I'd try and run it. Like, they can run any server with 7 credits, right? Largely. Yeah, 7 credits gets you through all ice. So they can consider going for it. We have to watch out, right? Like our Spin Doctor, we have to use a bit proactively, because if they light the fire, the Spin Doctor is ugly. The Audacity did not score. I would be worried about like punitive on archives. But yeah, I'd consider like it's a bad trap play. The thing is like Audacity doesn't really make sense. You'd more likely, I think, see Seamless or Trickle Light if it's like a real trap deck. Well, core cards are installed face down. You're often on honor systems, not installing agenda nice and memorize it. Yeah. Yep. Hey, at the casual event on Saturday, I installed the Tucana in archives. The Renner, a new player, their first standard game, ran archives and read Tucana, being like, that shouldn't be there. And it was super embarrassing. I totally forgot. But yeah, that happens from time to time. If it was a competitive event, it was a game loss. Because it was a casual event, it's just like a GNK with like unstructured prize support regardless. The judge calling was just, it's in archives now, good luck. And it was fine. But like putting a Tucana in archives against ESSA running archives would have been so fun. But it doesn't work like that. It's remote server only. The text that Nana Civic should have had. Alrighty. We don't need money. Funny enough, we can Chistushka 4 and like throw at this Audacity 3 from the top of the deck. They can't really check into the Bathinimus that easily. There's a chance we take this Audacity. Or this Chistushka. So true with Nani, yeah. I think that's the one way that the card could be standard legal. It's also weird. People stop playing, what's it called? Tattoo Bola. 4. So we get rolling on 1 Audacity 3 from the top. Sick. Go check archives. Go purge. They know there's a virus in there. Understandable mistake. They left the offside off Tucana. Oh, wait. Actually, Tucana doesn't have the offside subclause. You're right. That's fascinating. Okay, so unfortunately, we scored the hybrid release first. So they can Lagu here. We can do advance. Don't have great money. Technically on game point. We haven't drawn a single copy of, what's it called? So now we can get a card on the table. They're on Time Bomb. He's on Time Bomb. Saisentan is pretty annoying. It's not that bad. It's 4 credits, actually. I think... Is this ignoring all costs? No, you have to pay for it. Sorry. We're just gonna get them a buyer, so we're gonna put it on, I think, R&D. We don't want to put it here because the light the fire is an issue. I think we'll just put it on R&D. I think you could res there pretty safely since you go back to 4 credits, unless they jack out. But like, I don't want to be on 4 credits because we still need to res more eyes. Like the Tristushka was fine, and there's a chance that they hit like, you know, Spin Doctor or something good. We pull it back with hybrid release. Like a lot of Jinteki card pool actually interacts favorably with Sabotage. Can you imagine Tucana Mwanza Grid was remote only? There's a lot of reasons like Tucana being remote only should be that way. I think I played this A Teia at a local event on Saturday and didn't drop a single game. The deck is so much fun. Oh, Load, how's it going? Sick. This is like the really old TV one, which like I've seen no, you know, what's it called? Iteration on, which I'm really excited. Revolver's coming down. Love it. 1 second. Forgot to mention we always also have these. Okay, so here, the Sabotage is totally fine because we have a Spin Doctor. So thinking. So the Nancy drops us down to 2. I'd rather do the Vemper and Asa. Admittedly, this breaks all subroutines, so it's still 3, 4, it's still 7 credits, and it leaves us on 3. I'm gonna res this one. The Nancy is less relevant. It's a bit cheaper too. Unfortunately, they're not gonna let some of the subroutines fire, which I think we'd prefer, but what can we do? Something I haven't thought of, if Corp has sniping out and they're obviously flooded with face down cards, you can install Click Light the Fire, similar to Polop. Yes, if they think this is a Spin Doctor, they can just fire it and then we can't do anything. We're just gonna do all 4. We lost no agendas, but we lost 2 moon pools. So if they think it's a Spin Doctor, they can just light the fire it. On 3 credits, we're not gonna res anything. They have to pause here for an action if we want to, but I don't care if they light the fire this. The Sabotage 2 will be more annoying. I guess I sort of care, but I don't think we're gonna do anything until we Audacity this hand out. If it's a Bathinimus, they break for 2 credits and a bullet. Nah. Manage the Audacity Moonpool Bacterial combo twice and it feels so good. Ideally, that's how we close the game out. Yeah, it seems really, really cool. Woof. Okay. So here, I think we're just going to send it. We'll do install Advanced Audacity, go down to 2 credits, open R&D, unfortunately. This has no relevant text. Mind you, this is swap. Swap is install on Yagi Uda is actually quite interesting with this specific ID. Like this actually has a bit better text than it looks. So we can go to game point. I think the deck only has, it has 3 hybrid release, so we can threaten to win off the top of the deck. Yeah, I think we should. So do new remote. There's no way we ever res that. Oh no, wait, hold on. We need enough cards in hand. I was going to put the Tattoo Bola here, but then we just don't have enough cards in hand. They can Lagu. So then we'll do advance. We'll Audacity. Score. We'll res the Spin Doctor on our turn before they can run it. We have the final hybrid in hand, so we actually have the win in hand on 2 credits, which is pretty wild. So we'll just go ahead and shuffle back the agenda, and I think we'll just shuffle back an Audacity. We drew the last hybrid. If that survives, we win. Cool. There's a paid ability window in between each click, so the Corp would have a chance to use Spin Doctor's ability before the runner can click LDF. Yeah, so the thing is, like, there's a paid ability window before they get their first click. But then between clicks, they have to ask, do you want to do something? Or just wait a long enough period of time that they feel comfortable that they gave you the option. Sometimes it gets a bit awkward, but it's never been a real problem. Especially if you're playing friendlies, you just ask, do you want to do something? And if they say no, then you're fine. Don't you have to ask action? You don't have to if you wait long enough. But like generally most players do because they don't want it to be weird. Rashida got trashed, so this is an unknown card. If they steal a Bacterial, like it's nearly impossible for them to win. So like that's really cool about Bacterial is that it makes the top of R&D safe. Credit. Let's see a light the fire here. Or sorry, a running hot. Like there's a chance here that you light the fire server too. Just to see 2 new cards. Yeah, I actually think the play there is like click 3, you light the fire just to take a core damage. We can't res, they jack out, and then we can't sabotage from hand unless we have it. But like, unfortunately, we just have it. District 99 is really cool. When we Audacity, there's nothing they can do because this is only on their turn, right? Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, cost a click, yeah. There's no card that lets the runner run on our Corp turn anymore. Turn 9. Pretty fast. GG, I got lucky to have the last hybrid there. Yeah, if we had the last hybrid, if we had a 3-2 and an Audacity in hand, there's a couple ways. No, I guess if we have that, we don't have enough cards to combo off. But yeah, we definitely got lucky to have the last hybrid there. But yeah, I wonder if you just use the Light the Fire for disruption, because we had to sabotage from the top of the deck, and then you can attack 2 servers. Yeah. Thanks for the game. District 99 is so cool. Like, why play Buffer Drive when you can play District 99? Right? Like, is this not just better than Buffer Drive and costs no influence? Like, how often are you recurring something with District 99 that isn't this? Like, obviously it involves a click, but like, District 99 is on the verge of being neat. It allows you to add, you know, cards to hand. But this works at the top of the deck. I don't know. This seems to me like what Buffer Drive wants to be. As much as putting the card in your hand versus the bottom of your deck is kind of different. But this is an influence less. I mean, I don't know if the Buffer Drive is any good either. Yeah, I'm not convinced. But like, this card is like really close to Buffer Drive while also being relevant on more board states, I think. Maybe. Good game, Joe. Light the Fire is harder to mess up in person since the runner will hold their cards out to take the core damage, and you can just say, hold on, I have an action. Yeah, but if they hit the Light the Fire button, you can't react to it. Right? Like, you can't be like, hold on, I want to do something first, because as soon as they did that, you understood that they're running their remote server. District 99 is pretty sick in essence. The cards you want to recur 90% NR cards. I'd argue in, like, I guess you're recurring simulchips sometimes too. All right, Lou. We have a couple trashables in our hand. Thanks, you too. Sorry, there's a message I missed. Good evening from the UK. Glad I could catch you live. Jonathan, how's it going? Welcome. How's your evening so far? With a 3 cost, both of those are mid, yes. D99 was silly way to recur Cutlery, D4 and max. Now it's just sad. Yeah, I played it in like 100 card max because you like sometimes just have big steel skins in hand. Overdrive is so cool in Audrey, Lou, Infinite Strike Funds. I hear you, Mushin, but I don't know if it's necessary. Like, I think that's why everyone's playing it, by the way. By the way. All right, so we want to keep Lou out from doing the Lou thing. We have an early Vampire Nasa on HQ is pretty nice. We can Mindscaping to Vampire Nasa. Then we can do NGO front advance as much as we don't want to put the Rashida out there. We'll keep this hand. It could be worse than this. It could be a lot better though. Like the early Bacterial is like kind of strange. Oh, that's good. Run R&D, lose. Evening is moist here in Wales. It rains more than it is sunny. It's not Wales exactly, of course, but yeah, I cannot say enough about how nice of a time my partner and I had in Scotland. And we enjoy the rain. All right, so we want to put a non-trash ball on top of R&D. So this turn, I think it's going to be... So we don't really have to ice up R&D that well. So we'll put the Tattoo Bola down. A Vampire Nas on HQ is good. We're not using our ability though, which is a bit... But this is where like Asa would be better because we'd ice up one of these. So I think we just do is like a slower start here. I don't see a way that we can get a good value out of our ability. Like, I think it would be like NGO front, Rashida, Ice Rashida, advance. That's probably next turn. Pretty moist in Yorkshire, also. Ah, our Tattoo Bolo is gone. They found a way to make their ability relevant. This is a good card. We're running Tomb of Virus. Unknown card. No steal and trash. There's a lot of stealables in the deck. It's like 11 agendas? 10 agendas. That's actually not that bad. The wind has finally returned to Honolulu. The trade winds died down in October, so the weather is 10 times better than last week. Trade winds actually means like a thing. We were in the National Gallery in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and I learned, like, you know the term windfall, where it comes from? When someone says like they had a unexpected windfall. Like, I didn't know where it came from. All right, so we're gonna want to ice up R&D really bad. We'd love to have the Tattoo Bola there, that's for sure. So we're just gonna ice up R&D and make Lou have no relevant ability text for a minute. Unfortunately, like, I don't want to do the NGO front here, because like we really need it with a piece of ice. So I think we're just gonna do this. Seems really slow for the deck. So the term windfall is in reference to the wind that makes fruit fall from trees, which is really cool. Was this Sisenton on HQ last game? It was a Nancy into it was Enigma originally, which I overinstalled, and then it was a Nancy into Vampire Nasa. Well, the Tattoo Bola you interacted with. All right, let's find an ice here. No, but cool.
Okay, so if we do one click to install Bacterial, one click to install Moonpool, we advance this once. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can fast advance the Bacterial from hand next turn. I guess we're just putting this out here and wasting one of their clicks if they want to run it. Yeah, there's a really nice painting of people picking up fruit after the windfall. I was like, oh, that's cute. Come check. Come waste your click. Like, this is where like, you can Hoshiko archives and get value. Like, I don't understand Lou. I don't get it. Trade winds are the pretty much constant breeze you get in the tropics, blowing from east to west. Oh, cool. From where we, or you used to live too. We're used to winds going the other way. Your click goes into the trash. We're missing a third agenda. I don't think we need it. Do we need it? Like, we do. Okay, hold on. Install advance Audacity. So that's 1, 2, 3. You're right. We are missing one. Thank you. List doesn't run Sure Gamble. Yo, Argentina, it doesn't. It does not run Sure Gamble. Oh, no, it does run Hedge Fund. This list doesn't run Sure Gamble. There's a chance that this list doesn't run Sure Gamble. Some of the, like, the host, greedy host decks, mulch decks aren't running Sure Gamble. Norwegian West Coast is pretty bleak this time of year. Europe's rainiest season. Wait, why is this happening? Okay, so you're right. We can't. But we can Audacity out the Yagiuda, and I think that's fine. Otherwise, we can do Moonpool, install the Yagiuda, advance, Bacterial back into the deck. Yeah, that's fine. It's like whatever. It does something. So we have to do the agenda first. Like, whatever. That was expensive, but it's what we do. The Lou deck 100% doesn't. Yeah, I think you're right. So here, like, they still have to respect our ice. We're a bit short of resing them, depending on the order they run into them. We haven't seen a steel skin so far, but, like, they really want to run because they have Knobkuri Imp. And again, with Hoshiko, you can run archives here. I don't get it. Yeah, we did load you right. We did need another agenda. Nice. Sick. That's really cool. All right, so we res the Vampire NASA. This is a good imp hit for sure. Why not A Teia the Spin Doctor? Because we needed the Moonpool. So they went through. It's going to be 2 cards, Audrey, Vampire NASA, and then they have to use 2 counters. I think arguably, yeah, it's still pretty expensive. They hit the Spin Doctor. Feels bad. So Lewis fired twice. They can't really afford to go to the Vampire NASA over and over again. Our money is really bad, though. I think on 4 credits, you can consider running R&D here, because the worst case is a Tattoo Bowl or Enigma. Oh, well, hey, it's back. So we don't want to put this out naked. That's like the one big difference with playing against Lou. It does change how the core plays for sure. Lou's Solidarity Badge is synergy. Yeah, but you're putting more eggs into the basket. Where like, this is why I don't love Solidarity Badge. It's like, if Lou doesn't fire, a Solidarity Badge is a dead card. Like, you're probably better off playing a card that's better in the matchups where Lou is worse. Because like, it feels to me like putting too many run-based synergy cards in Sable. It's like, if you can't run, you have literally nothing. That's good. I think we draw once, click for credit. All right, well, that's great. I think Freedom and Solidarity Badge is a better combo. Yeah, maybe. Oh, there's a buffer drive. I don't know if you can go down to 0 credits here. I think it's better to FA with Audacity last turn and install Spin Dock instead. I don't know, because then they threaten the Spin Doctor. I feel like we don't get good value from it. Okay, so what happens? What did they... Buffer drive put Steel Skin to the bottom of the stack. So we know where the Steel Skin is. Hit another Spin Doctor here. Rashida, okay. They had to imp the Rashida, right? Because like the deck doesn't have money. I feel like you don't take Lou to win a tournament to make sure NEH doesn't win the tournament, but I just feel like Hoshiko can do both. Because now like they have to run HQ to get value off of all this stuff. And like the HQ run is really expensive. I don't know, just like a second ice here totally just like stops them in the track. I don't know. So I think we just do draw a hedge fund, ice up HQ. Hopefully we get an agenda. I don't want to backseat much, but I think it's suboptimal play if you're not scoring 2 Bacterials first and whatever agenda lasts. Bacterial will refill our hand. That's why I didn't want to Audacity the hand unless we scored out the Bacterial. Now I was getting a bit like cagey that we weren't pushing the game forward, so I scored out the Yagi-Uda, which like scoring out a blank 3-2 for that much is really awful. Like, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I really wanted to score out the thing. To score the bacteria. Oh, we'll call event, I guess. Everyone was with Lou. There's a startup. Yeah, Lou's really good in startup. There's no host though. Trashed a hybrid release. Doesn't even want to steal it because like you need the engine to work. Really funny. You can always run archives here, of course. There's Noma Virus. Is it Bolu? I feel like it's a very different deck. It is definitely a different deck than this. 7 cards here. So like we have a chance to get the hybrid back if we want to spin Doctor it, which we can. Again, like it's not very sustainable to continually go through the Saxonton over and over again. Like just 2 ice on the server, the whole engine falls apart. Like I don't, again, I'm going to stop harping on Lou. I think we're doing it too much, but like this deck doesn't make as much sense to me. And I like mulch. It was Bolu. Yeah. They're going good. Like they're cycling through their deck. It's just like it's currently single axes. And I think that's a really big, interesting thing about these lists is like there's a lot of single axes going on. So if we build a certain remote server and we don't like aren't able to res the ice, it's a problem because they can just run that to get like an Audrey counter. So we have to like be wary some of that. That's something that I actually can consider doing. It's just like running archives, which like again maybe that works with Hoshiko, but you can run archives to knob carry the Audrey to threaten centrals. Like that's a pretty reasonable line. I just don't want to put the Anansi out. So we'll start here. We're not going to Teia. 2 spin doctors is a bit rich. Oh, beans. Well, that's our turn next turn, is to score this one out. So I think we just click for 2 credits throughout this. In theory, we could throw out the Audacity. If we lose it to like damage, though, we feel really bad. Aside from getting worse, though, Audrey Lou is pretty fun deck. Yeah, I reckon it's fun. But like, yeah, there you go. I like this run. Oh, we'll get the spin doctor back in, I think. We've had a really slow start, right? Like this is turn 7. I think we won the other game about this point in time. Oops. Yeah, I think that's like one of the unflattering things about A Teia. It's the sort of deck where like you just ice up centrals and score from hand, and like that's not fun. Oh, that's a good combination. That's really nice. Yeah, you need Hippo here to carve through this. So now we're between like icing up R&D. We have to ice up R&D. They use the Knobkery that turn, so whatever we're talking, we actually get there. Like it goes on R&D this turn. So ideally we just draw any piece of ice. Well, not that one. So we can leave R&D open, which means they'll get an imp, which means they get a card draw. But yeah, this is where like, you know, if you're playing Asa and you have just a Managarm on a remote server with like a magnet, like I don't know how the deck deals with it too easily. But how do we do here? So we can install Longevity Serum and Spin Doctor. We can just score out. It's going to cost us a credit. I think that might be fine. I think that might be fine. We leave R&D open for 1 turn, which is like not great. But like they just go for singles as much as this doubles with Imp, but it's slow. Order. Advance, Audacity. Down goes the ship. Choose an enemy cards to trash an HQ. We're good. We'll shuffle 3 back in. So we'll do Bacterial. We definitely want some amount of money. I think the Mindscaping is like okay. Audacity is obviously important. We're gonna get more cards back in, that's for sure, because we have a Spin Doctor here. I would do another Mindscaping, I think. Actually, ideally, we don't shuffle the Bacteria back. That was wrong. Because now it's in R&D and they're definitely going to run R&D. We should have left it in archive, so the only way that it's back in the deck is they do this. Okay, so at least they did in the order that's good for us. We're going to pop this. We're going to put back in Audacity, and we're going to put back in, I think a Tattoo Bolo would be fine, as much as the Science Santan is more taxing. What are the plays in Solid Longevity and Bacterial and just have the Bacterial naked to recover? I don't think we need to do it, and if they do access the Celestial, they'll probably just imp it. Right? Like we don't want to give them the opportunity to imp the Bacterial as much as it's in archives. Because like if they ever see a Bacterial, they're not going to score it. So they trashed, what did they trash? A tattoo? Beans? Order actually doesn't matter for a Teia for some reason. Order doesn't matter for Teia? It does, right? Because the second card you can't score out the turn it's installed. All right. Hippo doing work. Well, Mindscaping, we want 2 ice. Draw 4, gain 2. That's not 2 ice. Huh. I think forcing him to Hippo the Saisentan would probably be wrong. So they're going to imp the Saisentan. So we would like to hybrid an ice. So I think we are going to put the hedge fund on top, unfortunately. And then we're just going to draw it. And we're going to get this on R&D. So we're not going to res this until next turn that we score out the hybrid release. That's a bit busted, but we just want to make sure that it's not the outermost because the Saisentan is tricky. Yeah, we're going to hybrid release. We couldn't have done it that turn. We can only do it this turn because we drew that with the Mindscaping, right? If it didn't have the clause, it would be broken with RSC and wage workers. A Teia, it would have been broken with Jinja, right? Like you start a turn, you just get an agenda on the table. It super matters. Ooh, okay. Now the issue is, yeah, I don't think we do anything this turn. Because if we hyper release, we're on 4, let alone 3. So I think we just like bunker up here. They might run HQ. What is this on the outermost? It's a tattoo. It'd be nice if we had an ice for that. I think we're just going to draw a hedge fund. Okay. So if we top deck somehow one of the 2 copies of Moonpool, we win with this hand. Because it is 2 counters, Moonpool's 2 counters, and we do 1 advance. The few moments hybrid release is useful. I think it's a really good card. It's really good into like, you know, destruction. The card has to be face down though. So like now it's useless. Because they checked archives. Like that's really important. But like imagine scoring a hybrid release on Tucana. The amount of damage you do is so cool. Because in theory, you can install Tucana on top of R&D, trash this ice, and then bring it back somewhere else. Like it's a really cool combo. Okay, here we don't want to res because it just gets hippoed as much as it will be most of their entirety of their Audrey. But then they imp to get an Audrey counter back. So we just wait till we get a second ice here. Like we have enough in hand to win. We just don't want them to hit the Moonpool. What did they trash? A Saisentan? Okay. That's fine. Lou's been firing a lot in this game, that's for sure, but we've been struggling to get 2 ice on any server. I'd argue we might have wanted to respect the Hippo. Going back. Cool. Got a hybrid. Just like hitting him a virus as much as it'll get them an Audrey counter, but we have 2 Mavirus that we haven't seen in 24. Getting him a virus in archives also slows down this entire engine. Because Nobakuri is on successful run, so it's not like with Amakuo that you still end up with a counter. It's closer to Leech. So if we top deck here, go in HQ. Yeah. If we res the Tattoo Bowler, they could hippo the Tattoo Bowler. I think if they hippo the Tattoo Bowler, we're happy. They might bounce off of this because it's kind of expensive to go through this. Yeah, and they don't want to give us credits. That's fine. Going back? Okay, so we need a Moonpool here. They can trash Moonpool. It's a Rashida. So we might draw a Moonpool here and win, I think. Damn. Okay, so what can we do? We need to get a Spin Doctor on the table. So we can get a second ice or a Moonpool in hand. We're not going to install something on the table unless we want to get a hybrid release. Now let's try and win off of a Moonpool. All right, we just got to get this on R&D. And then we can get this on HQ. It looks like an Adrian Seiss. And now we can res the innermost Saisentan. We're going to have some money issues. But that's it. Yeah, I like hybrid release. I think it's really cool. I think the NBN one at some point like could do something. The text one is like kind of honestly not what you want to see, but I have no doubt like the tempo positive 2-1s are like 2-1s are classically really good. You just need more ways to get win, score, do something good, which we haven't seen a lot of those in Netrunner for a while. Okay, if we res this, we go down to 2, which like Moonpool advance, we need 4 credits for that. We're on 7, so like they don't have to worry about Anansi. Anansi again is pretty expensive. It's 2 virus counters and a bunch of cards. Rip the fast break R+. Yeah, right? That was fun for a minute. Is that still around? I think that deck is still entirely legal, right? Hey. Post-truth dividend was really fun in that R+ Arella. Yeah, exactly, Dan. How's it going? I believe in my ability to live through a Sice and Ton. All right, we're gonna call event. I don't think there's a better call there. Post-truth only shows up in a Arella combo. I think there's some point in time where like Amani and Vera sees play in some sort of horizontal deck, like where you can just like tempo them out. The thing is like you need more things. Like you need Arellas. Like you need cards that say like win, score, do something. Boomerang on the bottom of the deck. Okay, so here we consider spin doctoring sooner. I'd argue that it's expensive for them to go back, so I don't think we really care about it. Because if they trash a moon pool, it's more important that it goes back. Oh, that's so good. They will trash it, so they will get an Audrey counter. But that slows them down. Now they can't actually build off of any server, so they might be locked in a bit. Arella's unplayable into Hermes. That is true. All right, here. We're going to get back, I think, just the 2 Mindscapings. I've been playing the deck in Eternal. Turns out it's pretty insane with Breaking News as a legal option. Yeah, well, Breaking News on its own. Is that not pointed in Eternal? Like, Breaking News is worth building entire, you know, multiple archetypes around in Eternal for sure. All right, this is what I don't love about Fast Events deck. It's just like Fast Events waiting room. Like, we're still making decisions. We're playing around the board state. But there's a cleaver, so we might see HQ runs here. Whoa, we have it. So just to go over this, unfortunately, they're going to run HQ and like, you know, slow us down. But we need to install this and this. We need to Audacity and we need Advance. So it's a 4-click play. So we just have to hope that one of the pieces doesn't get trashed. The problem is like they're almost definitely running HQ here, unless they're worried that this is the Adrian Sice, which this version doesn't have Adrian Sice in it. But if we survive 1 turn here, the thing is like they might not Audrey into HQ because they have to let some part of this fire. If we draw cards, we might be able to like do something with it. But like in theory, we're threatening to win next turn. And I don't think the Lou deck is running Simulchip, so it's not running Clot. Hey, Dirty Deeds, how's it going? If I say Schlada, you know I'm joking, right? We don't need to spend points on anything else apart from Jackson or spin. 24/7 is not pointed, right? Yeah, that might make sense. Credit. Mimic, that's game. So this is how the combo works, right? I just don't want to mess it up. So we install the Bacterial into new remote. We get this down into new remote. We advance the Bacterial. You can mess this up. You Audacity. So all the cards are face down. You res the moon pool. You remove this from the game. Trash nothing from HQ, but we showed there's 2 face down agendas. We drop it on here. We go from 4 to 7. Fast advance of 5-3. Let's go. GG. Thanks for the game. So that imp pressure was annoying, but the problem is like we just didn't get a second ice on the centrals, and then they have to transition to this, and like Lou fired a shit ton. Like we can't argue that Lou is not relevant there, but to me, I don't know. I'd be way more worried about the mulch version than the Lou version because they're actually like botulising through our ice. And like the botulis cookbook, I'm more worried, I think. Yeah. The deck doesn't have gamble, right? Like they're just like coasting on the minimum amount of credits. And like that's a problem when it's like Managarm on the remote server, 2 ice. Like you just can't deal with it. Yeah. Like the deck has no dirty laundry, no sure gamble. Like it's no liberated, no daily cast. Like it trades everything for the engine, which if the engine doesn't pop off, I don't know. Nice. I guess you have fermenter. Like you can consume a fermenter, but we didn't see a fermenter, I don't think. And like, this is my last thing. I don't think the buffer drive mattered. Yeah. Deeds is my name. Schlada's in my heart. Yeah, cool. Thanks for the game. I like that you voted the max 2 remote server problem by hardly ever having any remote servers. It's so good. You don't have to zoom out. Hey, cheers. You don't have to zoom out at all. It's really nice. All right, let's try the other version. So again, all these deck lists, shout out to Sokka. You might know Sokka, 2-time world champion. Does stream. So we're going to try this version and go from there. So this version is less fast advance, but more fast advance. But we have seamless launch. So we actually are encouraged sometimes to score in a remote server. We have slightly more ice, I think. It didn't feel like we had the most amount of ice in this list. Wow, we actually do have a lot of ice. 16 ice. This I think is 17 ice. So one more. And then we want to push in a remote server and we want to seamless launch out an early TPR and then fast events from there. Even Yagi Uda, if you seamless launch it to get an advancement counter on it, it actually does something. Swap a card in HQ with a card in or protecting the attack server the runner may jack out, uses during a run. So they have to be running a central server on a last click for that to be good, I'm pretty sure. But you can use swap to install with A Teia on last click and get an agenda on the table, which is cool. Deck builder. New corp deck. It's hard to beat 419 when it comes to alphabetical order on the corp chart or the runner chart. Not enough runners have numbers in their name. Yeah, for that fast advance deck, like I wonder what else we can do to make it more consistent. Like you do see that we're not playing Hansei, so like just the having the economy up front to res ice can be tricky. It's like load bearing NGO front. I do think a big thing about the Lu matchup is like we don't want to just tempo out Rashida's on the table and force him to spend a click to trash it, which like against Hoshiko, that's actually a fair bit better. I brought the list of candidates, was really fun, did well enough when it didn't flood. Ah, Beans. Hey, Chelada. Yeah. There's a chance like Moonpool works, but yeah, if it floods, it's bad. Over advanced Yagi's sick for protecting agendas than remote servers. It's weird. It's like you trade tempo backwards, which is like sometimes kind of awkward. Thanks, you too. My stream. Okay, Quetzal. So assuming that's going to be some sort of lamb something, we might see lamb, we might see poison vial. That usually works pretty well. Our opening hand's kind of bad. It's nice that the Jinteki at least has no playable barriers besides Tattoo Bola, so Quetzal is going to have to do a bit more work for them to get some sort of ability here. Our opening hand is Bud. We're going to mulligan that for sure. All right, that's not that much better. Can't wait for 2 Byte Ike to become an ID. I wonder if 2 Byte Ike is going to show up, like probably in flavor text. I wouldn't be surprised. But like there seems like there's, you know, some teasers of Netrunner cards in there. Okay, so if we get the Seisenton on HQ, that's good because we're holding nearly a quarter of the points in the deck, if not a third. From there, we don't really have a play. So we can consider drawing once, putting an NGO front on the table. We might just do like install advance the NGO front. Funny enough is like, if the runner is expecting you to do that, you can install advance just like an off-world office or a TPR on the table, but I'm not going to do that line. I'm just going to put this on HQ and click for credits. Like that's rough, but we had 2 bad openings. New stealth runner? Oh, that'd be cool, right? 2 bad XID would suddenly lose the ability halfway through the game. People like a narrative. Early buy advance, draw 2. Let's see what they install. Earthrise. Cool. That's an expensive install early, right? But credit, let's see what we got after that. Maybe we drew a hedge fund there. Daily cast for mentor. You just want some ongoing economy, some paladin here would be sick. Just credits, Sky. So they know we have a hedge fund. Okay. So we still don't have a huge incentive. We just want to draw nice. This sucks. This is really bad. What do we do here? Jason, how's it going? A Teia, hooray. Do you think we just put 2 on the table? I'm going to play this hand to the best of our ability, which is just 2 on the table. Like, we don't have to make this play. We're taking some lines here. Obviously, this is a suspect line. I'm putting out the agenda that I think we're the least excited to deal with. So if we, like, seamless launch it, we seamless launch this. Rain drops into a Seisenton. Impossible to win the game, but very possible to do more damage. They will draw cards here. Event. I curse you with the flood comment. Tell me about it. It's so hard to read what happened here. So we trashed Hippo Ataka a Hippo. Feels good. TPR from hand. 2 Byte X starts with an installed resource named Body. 3. Right away, the threat ability on their ID that caused them to flip would be interesting. Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. I worry to some extent, like it causes you to we could have got away with it. That it causes you to like maybe play slowly. You know what I mean? Right? Like you don't want to interact. Like I think it's good that games are progressing and you have a reason to try and score points. I wonder having a negative threat ability on your card could be like seen as bad. Whatever. When in Rome. Yeah, we had a bad hand. If we played it, it worked out. Now we have swap a card in HQ with a card in or protecting the attack server the runner may jack out. So that means that if they run anything last click, we can swap the NGO front for an off-world office. That play only makes sense if we have a seamless in hand. We'll see. Daily cast going R&D here. 1, 2, 3. The deck has how many agendas? 11. Oh, it has a fair few because it has one of the 2 ones. This is a good recovery if this stays on the table. There's the lamb. Okay, so if they paint through the Sight Centon, it's only 5 credits. That's still a lot. Tattoo coming down. We definitely want to do advance here. We want another Seamless in hand. I think leaving R&D open for a single is totally fine. So I'd rather draw to dilute the HQ run, which they might make here. I don't know what sort of like multi-axis we're expecting to see from Quetzal, so we'll draw once and just do advance. Enigma's nice because if they paint it, actually we'd rather do tattoo because it makes us money. Threat 4 gain virtual cannot take meat damage. That's interesting. But like, I feel like at that point you need cards that do meat damage to you to be interesting. I don't know. I don't like just Minder design where it's like this only works in certain matchups. We're like doing meat damage. Ooh, that's not good. We're not on bacterial, right? This is not it. We're on this one. No. So they still need 2 agendas to win. But yeah, singles off the top are doing it. Steelskin hit off the price. It's Telework, Steelskin, Gamble, Twinning. So Twinning's come down. So now they set up multi-access. Yeah. So again, this is the issue that we talked about before. Would this deck be strictly better as Hoshiko? Probably so far. Because Quetzal's ability hasn't been relevant. As much as like, that's the problem too, is like Lamb and Quetzal work together, but also the fact that you break all subroutines for 2 also doesn't work together. You know what I mean? Okay, so we want to get him a virus on the table because that's like a free swap target. We have technically 9 credits, so we need Ice Up R&D. I think we'll do a Tattoo Bola there. Getting the Enigma on HQ is good. So then we, I think, draw once. That's good. We can tempo those out after. We want to get 2 non-bearers in a row in HQ. Just Minder does stuff in every matchup if you splash for Hot Pursuit Vamp. You do, but it's like so niche, and none of it's really in faction. Like it's, I don't know, it never feels good. I feel like TPR always gets stolen when I see it in A Teia. I've only seen A Teia score in IRL once. I think Sokka scored a couple on stream. It's a tattoo. So this you can finally Quetzal through. It saves you 2 credits. I feel like the Hoshiko can do better, can apply to any other factions. Wow. Whoa, GG. Whoa, I forgot that was a twinning axis. Just look down, the game was over. Oh, wild. Yo, well played. All right, well, we didn't do anything. We drew really bad. Like that's kind of the issue with agenda flood is you're drawing agendas, you're not drawing the other cards you need to do the game plan. So like it kind of doubles down. But I think if we pushed out a timely public release on the table instead of being cautious with the Yagi Uda, we had a chance to maybe do something. We could at least been on 4 points. Because I took like you know, we have to play our hand line, but then I only half-assed it. Where I think like seeing our hand, we probably should have pushed out the agenda that actually mattered. Yeah, it wasn't great. Sable seems to do better than other crims as well. I would argue that Criminal has that to some extent, but it's not the worst. Because like Zaya has her own thing. Sable has her own thing. 419 has its own thing. It's like close, but I don't feel like that's bad. Hey, it's Anarch. Let's do that again. We didn't get to do anything there. Oh, I hit that button. Cool. I wasn't touching the table. Shada. Oh, on the beginning? Yeah. Saw 7 of your LED agendas on like 16 cards into R&D. Yeah, no, we flooded up pretty bad, but that's okay. That happens. But yeah, if we pushed out the TPR, I still think we would have lost, but we would have had a better game for sure. Because I did like, let's test the water. But then the thing that we, you know, the fish that we ended up catching or whatever the analogy there was, it was not the fish we wanted. Damn, I'm good. Well played. Deck is looking like it's 50% agendas, but you need them. We don't have Moonpool actually. So we'll see. Yeah. Deeds, how you been liking Quetzal? Are you doing anything like, I don't know what else you'd play. Like, are you on Slap Vandal or Poison Vial? There's a lot of like reasons why I think Quetzal got a bit more interesting in the new set. Catch you later. Thanks for the stream. Yo, Pink. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for dropping in. After this, we're going to try like more conventional score and remote NBN. Or it's not NBN, sorry, A Teia. Where we're actually going to do like, I guess, Anoetic. Probably Adrian. I think Adrian feels fun. And then just push out our remote server score out like Nisei Mark IIs and do a thing. Can I post the list? You tell me. I think you can. You might have to obfuscate it. I think YouTube stops you from posting thing. It's 2 Lambs, Carmen, and Buzzsaw. Neat. Obviously, yeah, 2 Lambs, Carmen, Buzzsaw, yeah. You might have to like obscure it where you only type like the part after netrunnerdb.com/ and we can just kind of piece it together. 30 games right now. Yeah, queuing up to like record gameplay yesterday. We don't wait too long, which is good. Apropos of all this theory crafting for IDs, I'm very curious to see how the new Wayland ID interacts with expendable cards. I'm pretty sure. I'm just gonna open this here. Oh, that's not it. I'm pretty sure they're gonna like trash cards off the top of their deck. Okay, we'll leave that here so we can come back. I don't know. But like to reduce cost, you know, trash off the top of your deck. I think that's a really fun thing. Sable, okay, we need Ice Up HQ. Vampy on HQ is pretty good. Thanks, you too. The matchups I've been losing really hard for the last couple days, especially if you don't play like a super robust deck, is generally against Criminal. Like the Asa deck, I think we won every Anarch matchup, every Shaper matchup, but we've lost every single Criminal matchup that we played yesterday. On the basis that like economic denial, trying to ice up centrals, like understanding that you win in the remote server, but then you expend too many resources protecting centrals. I think HB is pretty bad into Criminal in general, but yeah, that hurts. Kettle's been my fave since Lamb getting unbanned, got me really hyped. In my mind, it does something like once per game, you may review up to 2 agendas from HQ to place up to 2 advancements. Counters on an installed card. Oh, you may just like destroy? Yeah, seems fine. Trash agendas? I do not like fast advance IDs. Like I do not like IDs that encourage you just to like ice up centrals and fast advance from hand. So keep that in mind. I think the way that fast advance in Wayland, it has a couple more costs attached to it. Hey, Snufflepod. I've been brewing on Teia. Tried to do a build that stacked dice, but it failed terribly against Hosh. So now I'm on wake up call and upgrades, which feels worth bringing to game night. That sounds really cool. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, I worry that like you just don't have the fundamentals to like score on a remote server while having economy, and you don't have like all your ice is incredibly expensive that you really want to res, right? Like Tattoo Bola is the cheap one. So we'll probably put Tattoo on a remote server. Leaving R&D open is a liability with, we're assuming Hermes, and again, 11 agendas. That's not a good spot to be in for A Teia. 11 agendas into Hermes. We definitely need Ice Up HQ. If MP means we'll duck the diversion to some success, as much as they can give us 2 credits on this, so maybe not. So I think we don't have an Artea ability this turn. Yeah. Yeah, I like Artea ability would be NGO front install. So let's leave R&D open and just hope. Like, this is weird. This means that we're going to do the Atea ability. I don't think I would do this play naturally. I think I would ice up both centrals, R&D and HQ, and just do this next turn. But, like, we're hoping for an HQ mark. That's fine. My first brew that's been positive win rate. Oh, congrats. Wake up call sounds rude. Wake up call is cool. Oh, this is sick. So we hit a miss bones and a twinning. The twinning is huge. This so far looks like Sable Carnage. We'll draw 2. It's a bit risky into non-iced HQ. I have regrets. We made the density instead of 33. 40. We get some money back though. Hedge fund sick. We could have res the spin doctor there too, actually. That might have been correct. Class act, nice. We didn't hit a breaker. Hitting a breaker there is like game winning. But like, I don't know if they missed there was an NGO front potentially on the table. This looks like Sable Carnage. Or sorry, Sable Carnage. But like if we hit a breaker there, it's really, really bad for them. We're on 2 Amakua as well, which is nice into 2 Mavirus, which is nice to Amakua. So we have an incentive here to do credit, hedge fund. I think just ice R&D. Another ice on HQ we're gonna have to do sooner than later. But I think we just need to establish here. Maybe ice HQ is better. I think the only thing we're weak to is diversion to Boomerang in the other order. So I think we wanted the Tattoo Bull in the outermost of HQ. It's like hard to understand how to play Tattoo Bull into diversion, because if it's on HQ, it actually gains us money if they go through it. So we can put Saisentan in R&D. They might respect, you know, Anansi, so they might not run there. But whatever, we'll take it. The next thing we have to do, again, we want to put 2 ice on HQ against Criminal. Well, Warlock, how's it going? Well, welcome. This is this sort of like timely public release Teia that Sokka played back in APAC. Or no, in NA cons. APAC was the other version. So like we're gonna rush behind one piece of ice, which like back then there wasn't that much criminal. I feel like it's still gonna be a bit risky, but if they ever like boomerang or inside job and Anansi, we'll feel okay. HQ is the mark. Nice. Unity comes down. Like, what is it? 7 credits to break this thing. That's totally fine for us. Okay, I think we'll start here with the Spin Doctor. Okay, so we're gonna get the Tattoo Bola here on HQ. We don't have a really good install to build our remote server, and like scoring out a TPR without seamless is like, this just seems really hard. I don't think we have any really good tempo lines here. Like we're struggling to get a Teia to fire. We have nothing to put in this server. We could do like Spin Doctor and then ice this up. That might be fine. Like that's probably the best way to do it. And I think on the remote server, we probably want an Anansi as much as it doesn't end the run. Maybe we can just do Tattoo Bola there and then we put Enigma on HQ. Yeah, let's do that. Server, new remote, Tattoo on server 1. If they run this, we have to shuffle the Spin Doctors, which like is not very good here, but them trashing it for 2 actually is pretty good for us. We'll just get something on HQ. Stacking code gates is rough, but welcome. I think you want to get Tattoo and Enigma on the remote. Another big nasty thing on HQ. Yeah, I think you're right. We want the face checks on there and these on central. So at least we have the Tattoo there. But the Enigma here is like, it's not great into the Unity, that's for sure. It's actually kind of reasonable that it stays at 2 to 3 credits for the whole game. But you're right. We probably could have just put like a Vampire and Asa there and hopefully rest it for 5. I did it to trash Maw, but I'm also on Blood in the Water. Yes, that works really well together. Archives Mark, nice. So this seems like a reasonable threat up there on meat damage. I like Blood in the Water. I think it's reasonable. Even if you're not playing PE, like there's ways to build, you know, windows. Earthrise, they have no money. We want to put an ice on Archives. Okay, Rashida's good. So we probably like pop the Spin Doctor, put Rashida in server 1, put a Vampy on Archives, click for credit. Just feels so slow. We might have a window here to just jam behind there, but like 9 of these agendas are exciting to score out. Like this does not feel good. I guess we should have drawn once first here. Okay, that's fine. Ah. I was surprised by the A Teia attacks. Done. We'll put this in Archives, click for credit. Like our money goes pretty fast. Luckily we res Vampies probably for 5. They can't break them. But we would just want to make sure they're not getting a clickless 2 credits a turn. And as much as we might not have to res the ice, here though, like they can't face check because Anansi is pretty bad financially for us, but Asai Santan is losing a breaker here. Like they have to not face check unless they want to take risk, which they could. They probably have to. Hermes, nice. Ugly. All right, let's go. Adrian Seiss, new remote server. They're going to bounce R&D, which is like whatever. So then we can get... Hello? Test? Why? No. Oh, because we can't build a new remote server. Sorry, server 3. This on server 1. Then we want to put this in. We advance it once. Lose to legwork. Res Adrian. End turn. Adrian will slide in. Unless we top deck a seamless launch, they're going to bounce R&D. While we're holding, you know, 4 points, I think we're okay with it. They can deal with the Thimble Rig, but that's it. Cost them 1 of their credits. 2 remote. Yeah, I know. I wanted to get on server 3. Yeah, reading's hard. Archives is their mark. Again, if they force us to res this, we go down to 6. Still kind of difficult. Bravado, love it. So we res the Vampire Nasa here. If we hit a breaker, we're in a good spot. We're going to res this no matter what. They're going to end up getting, what is it, 6 credits. This is fine, I guess. We can still res the Tattoo Bola, which matters. The class finally matters. Hit a breaker. We hit Inside Job and the second twinning. So that means the only multi-axis is Wake and Plant. How many cards do you want to draw here? This is interesting because we can draw 2 because we have a Spin Doctor. That means we'll be on 8 cards in hand and then we have to discard 3. Let's just draw 1, I guess. Oh, man. Haven't hit a breaker yet. They're going to have money now. They're back in the game. We needed to hit a breaker there really bad. They have 3 more breakers, right? Like an Echelon, a Kurapira, which against the matchup, Kurapira is totally fine. And oh, it was in hand. We missed it. It was in damn hand. All right. So now they're running here. It's a bravado. The thimble rig cost them 1. It gets it rezzed, which is actually kind of interesting because we can get an R&D as much as it costs 1 credit. I think we will do that. But if we do that, we go down to 4 credits and then we can't actually score out. So I think we just res the tattoo bola. Yeah, money just doesn't feel good. Like it just feels like we don't do anything super efficiently. But that might be us like suboptimally playing this. Ugh. I guess we score this. Now, without a seamless in hand, we can't even threaten out. So Hermes bounces. All right. Sice and Ton for 3 credits is like kind of reasonable. We can't really afford the Anansi. This is a nice thing. These are like really bad against, what's it called? Hermes. So move Adrian to another server. Yeah, HQ. Go, Adrian, go. But now, like, we're on 1 credit. Like, I wonder if financially everything we did was a mistake. Because, like, how do we climb out of this hole? We don't have Mindscaping. So, like, the only economy card in the deck is NGO Front that gets us out of here. Mystic coming down. Love it. Archives is the market, though. That's good for us. If it was R&D, it's really bad. I guess we Purge. Doesn't do anything. Deck has no viruses besides Amakua. They go back. Trashed. Nothing. You think this is a spin doctor? I think if we before running Archives, you probably want to run this. So here we could put the longevity on the table, but we don't have, you know, money. That's huge. Cool. Okay. Move Adrian. No. I don't think so. You'd have been in real trouble if they hit an agenda on R&D and bounce a spinny. Oh yeah, you're right. You're really right. Yeah, we should have res that. Yeah, I think you are right. Yeah, if they bounce that, it's not great for us. But they have 2 twinnings out, right? So just making sure HQ is good. Tattoo Bolo, in theory, they could consider bouncing here. Well, they have to, actually. Which means that if Rashida fires... So, like, this is the weird thing. Is that if we want to score out the off-world office from hand... Oh, okay, hold on. We need to think. Because to score the off-world office in hand, we use the TPR. We have to install a piece of ice. So we have to install the Anansi here on top... Here? No, we can't even afford to do it because there's Rashida here. Whatever, I think it's fine. Because we have to install an ice. It's for free? Ignoring all costs. Okay, so we actually could have done it. I think that's okay. So again, like credit hedge fund is hard to get out of that. We have to probably do credit hedge fund. We could use TPR to score out the... No, we can't. Like I want a credit hedge fund, but obviously we can't discard these many cards. We'll get the hedge fund after we score the off-world office next turn. Yeah, okay. So now they break Anansi for a lot of money. Whatever, we'll just get this here. We'll click for credit. I think we'd rather spend 8. They spend more on that. Move Adrian to another server. No, it's fine. Pain? Yeah, no, it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel great, especially because there's so much criminal pressure. And Hermes just feels so bad with these many points. But now we can do it. We just install an ice here. We pop the Spin Doctor first. There's a Kurapira. So now let's see which server they charge. Archives is the mark. So that's good. We want to get rid of this anyways. Oh, we have also an Audacity. That's sick. So we have to put the 2 1-pointers in R&D, which like huge liability. Why not use it in Teia to install in server 3 instead of just pitching an ice? You have a Thimble Rig to fix it later. Because it has to go on this server. And if we ice up this server and we can't res it, they can bounce off of it with Amakua. But you're right, it's a consideration. Here, I don't think we res. It cost them 1. Yeah, I don't think we res. We'd have access to a Thimble Rig, but like it's not that good. Yeah, because as soon as we build a server and we ice it, they can Amakua bounce off of it. And eventually that will be relevant. I guess? This is last click. Wait, did they mess up? Oh my god, they messed up. I don't think you can run through a Tattoo Bola last click. Oh no, yeah, they messed up there. That's an important thing to understand. Okay. So we can do double seamless. I don't think we do. I don't think there's any bounce here that's super disastrous. HQ is arguably the worst. We could double seamless. I think we'd rather have seamless on Audacity. The deck has no 5/3s. But yeah, that's unfortunately Titan at home. Yeah, that is, I think, a suboptimal play, right? Like, you don't want to let us fire that last click for sure. That's an easy thing to miss. I think we'll just score this in like a bounce and discard 2 cards. We don't have any 5/3s, so ideally now we score at the longevity and score at a 2/1 or something. Maybe we could have double seamless there. It's just like the bounce on HQ is not that bad with Adrian in there, I don't think. So Enigma is like always kind of relevant. It's like the best ratio of res to trash. Like this is 3, this is like 2 to 3. It's a bit cheaper. Tattoo Bowl is good. We're gonna get diversion here, probably. Tattoo Bowl without another ice though feels bad. Ugh, I don't know what to get rid of. I'd love to hedge fund. Yeah, okay. Now, Adrian, you good. You can discard ice because of TPR. Yes, for sure. But like we can't TPR right now. We have to TPR on their last click. And then we can't TPR in centrals. Like we have to only TPR on the remote. So like, yeah, but also sort of. Because like you can't TPR in centrals and sometimes it's the right play. Like if you have border control, sure. But you cannot. Like we want to TPR on this remote server to get an agenda here. The original art on TPR is like very interesting. It's from the board game, I think. The art at least shows up in the board game of New Angeles. All right, now Unity gets through this for 4. They survived. And Adrian's Sight just stops them from accessing cards. It doesn't make the run unsuccessful. I think using the second seamless is right there. I think with the TPR, we'd rather score out another TPR, and to keep things seamless for that's important. You're gonna end up with that hand at the end of the game. I think with the TPR is unlikely. Because even next turn, like this turn we could TPR the longevity and seamless it and then audacity out. If we didn't have this, I'd agree with you, but I think there's a chance that's not the case. How many cards to draw here? I think we do draw 2. Yeah, because now we can TPR into TPR, right? Some weird, I haven't played in such a long time. Okay, so I just still don't know what the text is on this. Reading, sorry, reading. If the bids differ, the runner cannot access cards other than this upgrade. We want them to differ. All right, so they can only trash Adrian. Yeah, because now we win in 2 turns because we kept this seamless, right? They need to drop Awaken Plan here. They have no more multi-access because we've hit 2 twinnings. I don't think this list has a Docklands pass either. Saisantan is not worth it for us. It gets a res though. It drops us down to 6. If they're gonna go through the Tattoo Bola. Yeah, so we can probably do this. Like Mr. Lee and Altar J. Howard off the top of my head. And FFG is like super known for recycling. I don't think recycling seems pessimistic, but like I'd love it if they, employed more artists to do more work, but there's so many there, just play Android mainframe. Is this the first time you install a card in the root of protecting a remote server? Okay, we're good. Daily cast? They're diving, I guess. Yeah, it's looked like it, but now they played the daily cast. I don't think so. Amaku is going to come down. Sorry. Can you undo the last click? I need to use the window. Thanks. Okay, so here we're going to TPR. The last click they did was click for credit. So I'm just going to do this here because it's easier. So TPR to install a card from archives. So whatever, we'll put, I guess it doesn't matter where we go. Enigma on server 1. And so then, good question. And then we'll install this. We didn't pay for that into new remote. Cool, thanks. Tommy was 100% in New Angeles. It was also quite fun to speculate what A&R cards we might have been with the NA art. There's a whole bunch of art though from like, Matt Zellinger and like folks that never made it anywhere, like from Liga as well and from Adam Doyle. And all of that stuff was I wanted to do that. Exactly. That like never made it. Okay, ooh, double seamless. So now we have 2 seamlesses. So we don't have to let the bounce happen. Here, obviously, now we do the double seamless. Well, not obviously, because if they steal the longevity, then we'd rather have another seamless here. I guess we have audacity for that. Because we can always, we don't need it. Score. And then we can just, I was going to say Ice HQ. Hermes bounced the Tattoo Bola. So the game, we're going to say it's an R&D. So we're going to put this back. All right, so next turn we win if we draw any agenda in the deck, or if the longevity survives in our hand. So yeah, it's hard, especially with the longevity. Like, we're not weak to diversion. Boomeranging the Vampy on HQ, there's a diversion. So they need to double diversion us because we still score out for, if I'm not mistaken, we score out for 0 credits. Because we can get this on the table. We do credit, advance. Yeah, we literally can be on 0 credits. We're totally safe to credit denial. So this is what the deck was supposed to do. Yeah, this is what it's meant to do. We did nothing of that in our game, unfortunately. Fire. How many cards do you want to draw? I think just having as many cards as possible is safer. Because even if we draw 2 agendas, we just need one of them to survive. But yeah, we can actually do this on 0 credits. Because we just do install, credit, advance, audacity. If we res the Tattoo Bola here and they bounce, like, we're still totally fine. But now we don't want a timely public release here because they can bounce with Hermes. So I think we just let this through. There's no way we lose off this axis. If we res the tattoo and then they bounced off of it, like, we can still win. It's just we have to do less clicking like this. Yeah, 0 credit score is pretty wild. Maybe we should have shown that off. They would really have valued the Chezua. Use TPR during the run, you know, but they can bounce with Hermes. And they have a click back. So actually, wait, there's 2 reasons why we shouldn't have done it. Very funny. There's 2 reasons why we shouldn't. I forgot they're going to get a click back. But yeah, with Hermes, we can't TPR until their last click. So now the only one run is like run HQ and then trash this. Purge slowed the Yamakua down, which is nice. Yeah, it's a mixture of the Mark and Hermes if they steal. Okay. So on their turn, hosted agenda, we install an ice on server 1, whatever. This goes into a new server. Start a turn. We can triple advance. We'll just do advance audacity. So yeah, we could have been on 0 credits. If it's HQ you can install, there's nothing to bounce with it. Wait, sorry, Doomrat? Thanks for the game. Hey, you too. If it's HQ, you can install it. There's nothing to bounce it with. It made sense. Oh, if they run HQ, we can get it on the table. Yeah, that's true. If they run last click HQ, we just put it on the table. And yeah, they don't bounce. Yeah, that's totally true. We didn't have to even risk the 1 and 7. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's like kind of, you know, I feel like you do not feel as comfortable as like some of the sports metal fast events decks. Like, money does matter, ice positioning matters, resing the Vampies for 5, that's the best you can ask for. But like, I don't understand how we're meant to res a single Anansi in this list. It's so expensive. And like, we don't have Hanseis, we don't have any of that sort of stuff. I wonder if you do play Hansei. It's hard. Like, it fights the audacities, but it also does give you some value when it comes to the hybrid releases, and to some extent. Like, Hansei review, install Audacity, a hybrid release seems like pretty messed up. I don't think you're excited to do that. All right, do you want to try and build like mid-range Temple Glacier A Teia? I always do this and then like regret it heavily, but I think we can try it. We already actually have this open. This probably needs to be refreshed and it will fail. Oh no, we're still good. All right, what cards do you think should be fundamental to an A Teia jam list? We want to score out in a remote server. We're not trying to do fast advance tricks. We can have 1 fast advance trick, but our agenda suite. An early NGO off-world office makes the Nancy easier. Yeah, that's true. We drew, I think, 1 NGO maybe. Okay, so we want to play off-world offices. It's a 4-2 that gives us money. That's a problem we have. The Coaster Tranquility. I think Tranquility makes more sense because we can get it into like both servers and then it does something for our ability, which is really nice. Lacosta is obviously very good, but I think we'd rather do Seamless. I feel like Seamless just kind of eclipsed Lacosta unless you're also running like, you already get good enough value off of NGO front, but unless you're also running like Biovaults, I'm not sure if you should do it. Is Chumon even legal? No, we're not doing Chumon. Chumon is still legal? That's so wild. So then I think we would do Seamless, which is like all our influence, then we do Spin Doctors. Is like that good enough? Like, this is the issue, is like we're spending all our influence already on building an ASA group deck, and then, you know, hopefully the rest of the Jinteki cards kind of, you know, make this make more sense. So let's see. What else do we have? What's the new Wayland upgrade that finds ice? Tucana is really good. And if fire is like A Teia, the thing is it's 3 influence a pop. And we have no way to get it consistently. But I would love to play Tucana. I think it's so good, especially with hybrid release. Like, you can build the board state very aggressively. It's just like, yeah. What's your ice suite like in Jinteki neutral only? Oh, it's bad. Let's just do the agenda sweep. But yeah, I don't think it's good. It's probably quite bad. Flower Sermon. When you score this, reveal the top 2 cards, draw 2, add 1 from HQ to top of R&D, use this ability. We don't get any benefit with this. It's not the worst, but it's not amazing. So then we probably play Nisei Mark IIs, which is really good. The ice doesn't even end the run. Some of it will, some of it won't. Like we can still have Enigma, Thimble Rig. You probably want to be playing Magnet. That's an issue. So we might have to drop a Tranquility Home Grid. I think Magnet's really good right now in the meta. We probably have to play then something like Fuji's or Blood in the Water so we can capitalize on them having low hand size. Or there's a chance we can just like tempo F viral weaponizations, which like, it's weird, but this is a really good tempo hit potentially, right? Like, is Crypto Crash better than this? Arguably, yeah, but it's neat. Like this wins if you score it against some criminals. Flower Sherman's actually pretty good to defend R&D. It's not bad. It's just like, it's also not amazing. It's okay. It defends R&D, but it also like stymies our draw. Like this is 3 Mindscapings. I don't even think we play Mindscaping. I don't know. We probably have to play 5 3s. Like there's a chance that you play 2 copies of Send a Message, which just like feels awful. I'm off to bed. Good luck. Thank you, Jason. But like maybe they steal this and it reses one of our big things and we have a swing. But like it's really, really, unless we play hybrid releases, like Send a Message makes some amount of sense. Because I don't know if we want to play Fuji. Maybe we do. Maybe Fuji's fine. And then we play like Longevity. Man, imagine you had a good 3-2. Imagine you had a good 3-2 in faction. Like every other faction. Being able to move Snare on demand might make Flower Summer good enough. I think we don't play Snare though. Like, unless we like really change the deck and play Blood in the Water, like I don't think we play Snare nor a forward Snare. But I agree, there's like really good use cases for Flower Sermon. I just don't know if it's this. Like, what do we do? Like, we play Longevity and say we're happy about it? I guess? All right, what else do we have? Again, we have to be within these 2 factions. So we want something for our other remote server. I think Bladderword is like okay as a credit a turn card. The runner trashes for 3, but like the text on it might not be relevant. We don't care too much about the damage unless we play, you know, Moonpool, but let's just put a card like this in because we want something that goes in the remote server, the other remote server that works for us. So that's pretty okay. We're definitely gonna be playing NGO fronts and then the Rashidas, of course. It feels like Regolith is like also kind of nice. It's something you can put in the other server and then you can click it when you need it, but this card is also kind of slow. So we can put in one and think of how we want. One of the other cards that we could consider is like, what's it called? Front Company. It's like really bad because it kind of incentivizes us to lose on centrals, but it will slow the runner down. I just don't know. Like we have to ice this up for this to be relevant, right? Yeah, we kind of have to, but then we don't want to ice this up. Like this is just a click loss. I don't think we can spend 2 credits to make the runner lose a click and 2 credits. We can try it. It'll probably get cut, but like that's the sort of issue with that. What else do we have that makes sense in a remote server? Like there's not that much else. Like Lady Liberty is okay. We have no 1-pointer, so it has to stick for a minute, but like we don't actually have win. Oh, Nisei Mark II is not a win scored ability. It is. Oh no. Okay, never mind. Don't do that. Because it doesn't score, it adds it. So like actually all of these are win scored abilities. Like totally ignore that. And Front Company, or sorry, Gene Splicer will only make sense if we care about damage and or we're playing like 3-pointers. Because an extra point off of this is unlikely to matter. Oh, it's not that unlikely to matter. Unless we don't score a Fuji. Okay. That's how far we got. Ice is going to be a problem. So we probably can afford maybe 2 Anansi's. Now, this is annoying to break, but like the subroutines are good, but they're not the most important. I'd actually be much more happy to draw a Vampire Nasa. Anemone matters more if we're doing the damage deck, and maybe the answer is some sort of hybrid plus damage deck. Teeny, it's annoying, but I like Vampire Nasa more than this because we don't care about damage too much. Pathinimus. Oh, this gets bad pretty fast. Diviner's okay. Right, like people are on Buzzsaw, so this doesn't feel amazing, but it's okay. The thing is you can't put it on a remote server that easily. So we do care about Enigma a fair bit. Envelope just has really bad numbers on it. Everyone's on Cleaver, so paying 4 for something they break for 1 is bad, and we don't really care about the face check. I've been curious about Tucana and A Teia. Say the runner steals an agenda. Oops, I found an ice and installed another agenda, but in a 3-2 scoring. Yeah, no, it seems really good. Like I love Tucana in Asa, which I think you can build worse things because you can like give them a snare or you can give them in theory like a ganked, and that's pretty fun. Prana, we don't have consistent net damage. If we had consistent net damage, Prana would be nice, but then they also trash the Prana. Like we can't ice it up. But like Prana only makes sense with PE that does damage consistently. It makes sense with like House of Knives, with like Sting agendas that do damage. So far, we have no way to do net damage in the entire deck besides a single Bladderwort, unfortunately. White space, honestly okay. I think this is probably fine. It might even be better than Diviner. That's a real face check, as much as it's bad into Turtle. Vampy is sick for Centrals. Tithe is annoying. Thimble Rig is one of their end-the-run code gates we have in faction. It might be the only end-the-run code gate in faction. Tattoo Bull is really good. Swordsman is like on the cusp of being good. I think we do run into AIs consistently enough for this to be considered. Mind you, it's either Amakua or currently, it's only Shaper that's not running AIs. I think Swordsman's okay. What is this, Eternal? Sights and Stun for the face check is annoying enough. It is taxing for a lot of folks to deal with. I think Carmen for 3 is like the worst case scenario. Sadaka, we don't really care about, hopefully. Phonatria is like kind of cool. It's annoying. We don't care about the tag clause, but it's annoying. But what else? Like, this is my enthusiasm. Maybe Trick Light instead of Seamless. We have nothing we're advancing. There's literally nothing in the deck we advance. Like, Trick Light's only good if you're scoring out 3 2s, then you have advanced stuff on the table, which like makes sense for a trap deck. But unfortunately for us, I don't know if it's gonna work out. Like, there's so many additional, like the amount of clicks and credits you have to do to make Trick Light work for you is really expensive, right? Like spending most of your turn and then 2 credits on top of that just to get a fast advance piece, it's hard. What's the interaction to give them a snare off of Tucana again? So they run the remote server. Tucana's rezzed. They steal an agenda. Tucana fires. You put a card, you Tucana an ice on that server. Ace fires, so you can install a non-agenda. So you put a snare in the remote server or a ganked in that remote server that they're currently accessing. It becomes a candidate and then they have to access it. I'm going to publish a video, I think on Saturday, of Tucana ganked, maybe even sooner. It's really good. Okay, Palisade is like not the worst bad to botchless. I think we probably need to play Magnets. Yeah, we just don't have the ice suite to support this. I always forget how far we get into the deck building before we realize like this doesn't make any sense. Hype to see that? Yeah, it's really, really cool in Asa. It is really neat. Half-Run's like a bit expensive because it costs a card in hand, but like this is like a pseudo border control. As immediately and only now. Can be done in A Teia too, just need the Tucana the ice onto the other remote. Yes, you can also do it in A Teia, where you Tucana and you get the ice on the other server and then you install something in the root of this server, which means you can do like Tucana ganked A Teia. Why don't we just do that? It's going to be a worse deck, but we could do Tucana ganked A Teia. I'm way more interested in that than this. Hold on, we'll pivot. As much as it's going to be close to the other deck we're going to publish. The problem is that the ice we're getting for the deck is really bad. So we'll do 2 Tucana, we'll do 3 ganked, and then 3 Spin Doctor. That's all your influence, unfortunately. Karuna actually has surprisingly good numbers against Carmen. Yeah, I think Karuna is amazing. 3 strength is good enough. Not amazing, excuse me. I think Karuna is like way better than it looks. Because people are still playing it. Yeah. Anansi is fine. It is. It's just really expensive. Maybe Snare now? Yeah, we have ganked into Saisantan. Affording an Anansi is going to be a huge issue. Like, there's no way around that. Sacrificing economy for jank is the way to go. Buckle up. So the thing that we want to do with ganked is we want to get infinites. The problem is like A Teia or Jinteki card pool, from my understanding, has no infinites. It does, though, have a lot more non-infinites. It has a lot more like damage. The idea is that we can out of nowhere get a Saisantan on the table is really cool. So that means we should be playing Blood in the Water. We should be playing Fuji. I think we have an interest to also play what's it called? To play Anemone, because Anemone also works, because you can get Anemone out of your deck, you res it with Tucana, you do 2 damage, and then they access it. So that's a guaranteed 3 damage if they don't have their killer. They probably do have their killer. So then how do we capitalize on that? Yeah, it works with Anemone, but like it also works with just paying 2 credits for a Saisantan. The problem is Anemone actually doesn't work. Sorry, Anemone works, but it doesn't work with Snare, because Anemone is during a run against this server. So if we res this on the second server so we can feed them a snare, it won't work. It will work in theory into an Asa, but obviously that's a lot. So we either have to decide to give them an Anemone or give them a snare. And I'd argue that the Anemone is a bit better. What is the tag punishment we have? Because we also can do some weird things where like we feed them a Phonatria. Because when the runner will pass this ice, does the runner pass the ice when they encounter it? When you ganked someone into a Phonatria, do they pass it? Technically they do, right? But they're not like passing yet. I'm not actually sure. Because passing means them moving through it, but they don't just, they encounter it, but technically they pass after the encounter. I'm not sure. We'd have to look at the rules for that, but I'm not actually sure if that works or not. Okay. Issue is our economy is now even worse than it was a while ago. So let's try and build a cogent game plan. We have Blood in the Water, we have Fuji. Small agendas will make sense as much as our scoring pattern is pretty bad because we don't want Tucana constantly because we literally cannot afford it. Another really good card with Tucana is Vovo because if you Tucana on top of the Vovo server, Vovo works. But again, probably do this in HB. I'm going to see ganked Phonotria. We've gone off the deep end. Haladri, yeah, we started to build an A Teia deck. Immediately realized that we don't have fundamental pieces, and then we pivoted it in the way that's going to be at least more exciting as much as I'm going to be upset the whole time. Hedge Fund. Hansei, probably. We just need to go fast enough. I think this card is a bit underrated. This card's fine. And Cordon's also a bit underrated, but if people are playing Imp, they're playing Imp. What else do we want? Neurospike is like kind of cool. Like we can do Blood in the Water and Neurospike. That's technically only 2 damage. Let's play 1. How bad could it be? What else are we missing? Any Jinteki economy, which like, that's not a real thing. Take full responsibility for mentioning Tucana. No, I think that's good. I think we actually have like a chance. We can play some upgrades. So upgrades we want. Adrian Sice is okay because it also works on top of like if we have Hokusai's or something in the remote server that makes some amount of sense. Daniela makes an additional cost to seal the agenda so they can refuse. That's not great for us. So we could do 3, 6, 9. Hold on. I think we're going to need the off-world offices because we need money, but we no longer have Seamless, which is not a good spot to be. So we might want to be on La Costa, but that's also kind of expensive. Oh, this is a pile of cards. We'll get rid of the Bladderbirds. We'll get rid of the front company. So our currently economy is probably like multiple regulates. Obviously our ice, we have a couple pieces of ice. So we want at least 2 anemones. We want an Anansi we can't afford. Saisentan's good swordsman's gone. But funny enough, pulling swordsman with Tucana and then ganking someone into it is actually like kind of reasonable. But no, it'll be on a different server. So we can't do that guaranteed. So swordsman's out. White space is whatever. We want stuff that hurts. So we can go back to the ice that hurts. Cut the Saisentan over Anansi. Saisentan's really good, Haladri, because if we pull it with Tucana, we can just do 2 damage. It's really, really good. Oh, cut the Saisentan over Anansi. Saisentan's really good. If they get sent into this comes in for 2 cards off Tucana, and this like kills people. How do we kill people though? Like if they have low hand size, how do we win? Like we just have Blood in the Water. That doesn't win. So maybe we need to do like Fuji Neurospike and we set up that. Like we do Fuji Neurospike Tucana ganked. Yeah, okay. What agendas also make sense in this list? Like in theory, we probably do play off-world offices. We want Jupstad. We have no influence. We can't. Hokusai is like just good enough. It's a lot cheaper too. But yeah, we could win in theory with that, I guess. This is still a pile of cards. Okay, so what is the ice that hurts the most? Diviner, fine. Thimblerig, we can go 1. Vampy, great. Enigma, 1. We can actually put Atini back in, but I think we're gonna have problems with affording the Atini. Thimblerig over Diviner. Let's just play Diviner. It's fine. So we're at 7 plus 12. We're at 15 ice. Let's say that's enough. It probably isn't. We have 9 upgrades. Adrian, ganked, Hokusai, Tucana. Hokusai's probably a bit rich. We also need it. We got to sort out the agenda suite first. How do we capitalize on low hand size? Hyper release Tucana is nice, but it's like pretty expensive. We could do Regenesis Fuji, but like we don't have a punishment for that. Snare. We have an incentive to play a single snare. Daniela. The problem with the Daniela is it reduces an additional cost to steal. So we have to res the Tucana, and then they interact with the Daniela, and they can choose not to steal. So it actually stops our combo as if the runner is like smart about it. So that's a consideration that we don't want to consider. Like we have to keep that Daniela might still be okay, but also there's like some pretty sizable downsides to it. Yeah, we have Adrian. Adrian's really good with the Teia in general. But then you can score the agenda. Yeah, but scoring a Blood in the Water, the Fuji is honestly not that good. Like we'd rather kill them on their mistake than us winning. I have a more reasonable jammy A Teia with La Costa. Let me try this first, Solomir, because I think we want to try this and then it might not work and then we can go from there. Yeah, the agenda suite's like not inspiring. Like I just want something that like we'd probably play off-world offices. Off-off is good for your economy. It is. It is good for economy. Then we're on 21 points. We can play 21 points. It's not a good thing to do. We can cut a blood in the water for like, let's just play one, whatever. We'll play one cute, cheeky, what's it called? Hybrid release. It fires Tucana. Let's say that's good enough. Okay. We have 6 cards too many. NGO friend Rashida Regolith just holding up our economy. Hansei review, how expensive is this going to be? Like if we draw early, and we have to remember we have 2 little ice. So if this is our early draw, like this is, how do you do this? He's going to cut carry? Wait, what? Cut the Regos? I think Regos, like if we don't have the Regos, we don't have money. I think we can go down to 2. But Regolith is the sort of thing where we do like Regolith, ice the remote server, put this in there and go from there. I think it's more likely that we like, this opening hand, it's fine. I think the Hokusais are probably not great. Why Mindscaping? Because it's like, it has the word credit on it. And like for Jinteki, you kind of have to scrape the bottom of the barrel there. We could easily cut 3 of these, and I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. But now like we technically have less smoothing in the deck. What about Timely Public Release? Timely Public Release is, we just played a Guy Click Kill. How's it going? We played like some of the fast advance decks, and that's only good if you're trying to score out. We're trying to like hurt the runner real bad. Like I wonder if we should just keep the Mindscapings in and then put Faunatria in so that we have like something there. Mindscaping is Baby Rashida. It's like saying red level clearance is Baby Rashida. It's like, I guess, but also not really. Celebrity Gift has credits on it. We can't show them the way the ganked in hand. Because if we do Mindscaping, like we can pivot to Faunatria instead of Saisentan. We can keep 1 in if we really want to, just so that we can pull it with Tucana. But Faunatria now, like technically we have tag punishment. Guy is here? Is Guy Click Kill Guy? Wait. I did not know that. I loathe Celebrity Gift. Welcome to the club. We can play 54. Guy, I didn't realize that was you. How's it going, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Okay, it's getting worse. I have my favorite card, but then it's probably my least favorite card. They used to be playable. That's me. Yo, it's sick. I had no idea. Okay. I think if we're playing Blood in the Water, we have some incentive to run Snare. I think playing Snare goes, you know, apropos to our trying to win the game because it costs money. Oh, this is such a salad. This is going to feel really bad. So, like, how do we possibly try and win? Scoring off Blood in the Waters. Blood in the Water on Tucana. We can do Tucana ganked to do additional damage. So we need as much ice as possible that does as much damage. You drop the BADW because it's not a great card even in PE. I think if we do that though, like we have no way to capitalize on the runner having low hand size, which is kind of the intention of the deck, is like to Tucana them into some nonsense. Right? Like that's all we're doing with this deck, is getting them to low hand size. So I think we can just cut 1 card and play this, but no, playing 55 cards with only 2 Tucanas is definitely a crime. Yeah, this looks bad. Let's do this. Yeah, it is kind of the central idea. Like I'd rather unfortunately do that, but like if the runner doesn't run, things are bad. How much do we do as much damage as we can? Like I think we need 3 anemone. Don't stop believing. No, I'm still believing. There's no way they're gonna let us Tucana them into a Saisentan. Is gank that much better than Snare? Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. And it actually, like, it's relevant on Centrals. I think ganked is actually in a surprisingly good spot right now because there's so many decks relying on Botulus and Banhar. Right? Like, people will, admittedly, Banhar into this deck is pretty difficult. But, like, every single one of our ice, if they get ganked into, it's kind of messed up. Do you need a Nonsen Vampy? I think we definitely need Vampy because otherwise we don't have good ice. Raising a Vampy for 5 is really good. Mikey Moose, how's it going? We arguably have too many sentries, but I don't think we could cut a bit of ice. Yeah, ganked is an upgrade. Ganked is really good. I think ganked is like in a surprisingly good spot right now. Probably cut one of those. Do we just cut? What are we at? 8 plus 5 is 13, 16. We can play 16 ice and 54. It's just, again, with a Tucana deck, we need to go thinner. All right, let's just cut 5 cards. 2 more cards. Anemone seems so important to the list. Unfortunately, everyone breaks Anemone for 1 credit. I don't feel terrible about that. This obviously is really weird. I don't feel terrible about that. Does anybody feel terrible about this? Without mindscaping, is Phonotria that much better than Natini? We should have one Natini. You're right. Without mindscaping, Phonotria is not even that good to Saisentan. So I think we do this. And it's nice to have an Natini because it's an option with Tucana, right? Like it's nice to have like one code gate that we can feed them that's butt. One sentry we can feed them that's butt. I wonder if we need 3 Anemone because we have 3 Blood in the Water in the deck. Like, look at this play. You know what you do here? You do Fuji, Tucana on the table with the Rashida. Then you advance the Fuji once. They run it. You res the Tucana. The Fuji does 2 damage. You get an Anemone. It does 5 damage out of nowhere. I'm just saying. If people don't respect Tucana to Fuji, it does 5 damage out of nowhere. We might honestly be onto something. You see what I mean? Like, just put it on the table. Who cares? Install credit. Go. Like here, you do Fuji, ganked, Saisentan, credit. Lose on centrals. But like, then you'd like Hansei, obviously, like, oh, I think we might be onto something. To Katea? My other one's Tukasa. That's actually means something. 4 damage, I think. No, it's 5. Because it's 2 from Fuji, 1 from the subroutine on Anemone, and then 2 more from the on encounter on Anemone, or on res, right? It's 5 damage. It potentially is lethal. And we score a Blood in the Water and it does nothing. I think they want to run the Fuji as it looks like an NGO front. We didn't even advance it. We don't have to advance it. Can a Mavirus fit in? 1 extra net plus the added. Yeah, Mavirus is definitely really good. And there's like, yeah, we'll try and get one in. It's almost never wrong to put a Mavirus in your deck. In the Tukataya. Why would the Anemone subfire? Because we're to, oh, it wouldn't. You're right. It's not ganked. Yes. It is 4. It's 4. Still. We could consider cutting a gank to put another 2 influence card, and it would probably be okay. It probably would be fine. Is there any ice when res do you make money? That one left, right? The format? What card did we cut to put a single, what's it called in? I think we cut a Hansei, unfortunately, to put him a virus. No, cutting money seems bad. Let's cut, what else are we cutting? Tattoo Bola? Oh, in terms of like res to make money? Yeah, if you squint, I guess. Maybe a diviner? Yeah, fine. 14 ice, not a lot. How do you get a ganked in the server with the Tucana Fuji advancement? You install the ice with Tucana on the other server, so you need an ice already pre-res there. It's possible, but the ice that you install with Tucana it can go anywhere. So you just put it on server 2, and then you ganked it to server 1. So I do think that ganked is probably like a flimsy part of the deck, but I do think ganked is better than it looks. Modernly, I think, again, people are running through stuff with like limited time breakers. Callback. Bingo. I don't know these names. Arsana, that's a tricky matchup. Hey, Maddie, how's it going? Love the streams. Ah, cheers. All right, I'm going to keep this hand. Seems a bit cursed, but we'll go. It can be really hard to kill an Arsana that like plays things well. We have a snare in hand. That's good to know. So here we can do install NG front, install Regolith, just double advance this, see how the play goes. Ideally, we get an Ice and Adrian Seiss. Adrian Seiss actually looking like a very cuttable card in the deck. But maybe it's nice to have her. Yeah, maybe Adrian Seiss should just be something that does more damage. Would we rather have a Rashida than a Regolith here? Yeah, for sure. What are you going to do? Install the Trojan on what? Slap bundles per encounter, not per run, right? Yeah. I love when you don't open. Like, Arsana needs to find the eco. They just don't have, like, relevant text. Unless it's, like, SMC on the table. All right. We should actually fire the NGO front so we can threaten a snare here. This makes it obvious we have a snare in hand. They hit a Regolith. I don't know if you can afford to trash that early. Yeah, you probably can't. Are you deep diving turn 1? Ah! Bird! It's not a deep dive. Purge? Okay. Losing Tucana is awful. We break lock. They know we have an Adrian. So here we like, this is where you, if we had a Tucana, we do Saisentan. Okay. So unfortunately we have to square the Fuji, which is butt. So I think the most taxing dice we could get here is the Saisantan, because it's hard for them to do with early sentries. So we do Adrian Seiss, new remote. We're not threatening to score this though. That's like obvious, but they don't know that. Server 4. After all, ice is a crutch for bad players. Pro Corp stop runner through sheer fear. Sage, you say that, but like a lot of the top decks are not running a lot of ice anymore. I don't think we actually advance this. It doesn't give us a huge incentive to do it. We could consider icing R&D. Resing this for 5 is fine. We'll res Adrian and just slide Adrian over. All right, this doesn't look like any deck I've played before, but it seems okay. Action. Vampy is another really good ice into Arasana. Resing a Vampy for 5 is good. So if they slap Vandal this, right, like all the subroutines are pretty good. They can just like put a cube on it. It's a slap Vandal, so choose one. So it's the net damage, nice. So we will draw 2, I think. Nice. Ah, we're blowing the water. Cat's out the bag. They got the nice. They have the urban. They want to keep 4 cards in hand, of course. We're seeing the blood in the water feel pretty bad. No surprise there. So here we want to do advance. I think R&D is relatively safe. We can do a double install here, and we definitely should. So we'll do a new remote, and then we'll put this on server 4. Good fun. Already, we're doing something. Move Adrian. No, you're doing great, Adrian. Hold on there. What's the list? Magic Bowden. It's a damage-based 2-kana ganked A Teia. It seems okay. This is our first game where like 3 turns in, they've scored a blood in the water. Our agenda suite is probably very not conducive to scoring up to 7. But they have no credits. They just have 2 urban art vernissage. They think this is a regolith. They probably know it's a regolith. We want to score the Fuji to hit the slap from hand as much as Simulchip like. It is a thing. Nice early testing. So here they run HQ. Yeah. Oh, this is really good if they hit the snare. Oh, hit the snare here, please. Oh. Whoa. Egret, Basilar. This is probably a what's it called list. You know what kind of list this is? Probably that Sentry that fires subroutines. Either that or they're in Living Mural, but I have some suspicion that this could easily be what's it called? Persephone list. My Persephone is top deck that built. They're dead. They're not dead. They're dead. Actually, they're dead. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna trash your resources. Oh, snare is sick. Good game. I was just about to start trashing the table. Yeah, I forgot we win there. That was really good. Turn 4. Okay. Snare seemed good. I think snare we need to play with Blood in the Water in the deck. Yeah. Are you on Persephone? Now we retire it? No. We gotta play more. I suspect deep dives. I am. Nice. Yeah, I got suspicious. I got suspicious of some of those. Yeah, I think someone recently published one of these lists, but Persephone is a really cool program. It's 2 MU for some reason. It's a really bad sentry breaker, but it says when you pass the sentry, you may trash the top card of your stack to trash 1 card from the top of R&D for every subroutine on the sentry that resolved. So if you can get multiple Persephones out, you can go through something that you paint with an egret. You'll have some MU issues, and then you can just let the subroutine fire. Like if Vampire Nasa becomes a sentry, you run through it, and then they rip 3 what is it? A lot of cards off the deck, but then we mill most of our deck. Yeah, exactly. It's really cool. We had a friend back in the meta who doesn't play Netrunner so much anymore, Wasa, who is the guy who made the Keyhole plugin that he's working on. But yeah, he used to play a heck of a lot of it, so I'm a bit familiar. Yeah, maybe Mural. Who knows? Good game. Okay, we'll play another one for the deck for sure, but I think we see some things that do work. I've only seen a Persephone deck once out in the wild. I've seen it work out in the wild, but we had a player who was like really working on it. Hey, cheers, catch your hand. All right. Undefeated on JNet. Tell me about it. I just realized at work they block your live streams. David, how could they? Do you want me to talk to your employer? How's it going, by the way? The secret of successful Jinteki deck is having the runner hit the 1 in 5 snare in HQ. Apparently solid game plan. Yeah. Yeah, that's just about it. It's not the 1 in 5 in HQ. It's the 1 in 49 that's more important that you should highlight. I wonder, like, the thing that's kind of hard to tell also about our friend Adrian Seiss is like a lot of the impact it has is you can't tell it has because the opponent just doesn't run. I was gonna ask David, are you Hofcorp? I don't know if you're at work and you're running. All right, 54 card Hoshiko. That can't be a good matchup. This opening hand has a blood in the water. That's not a good agenda. But this is where, like, the opening, I'm so much more scared of Hoshiko than I am scared of Lu. Thanks, you too. Okay, at least we can ice up 2 centrals. An early anemone is not very great. We can get the NGO front on the table and set up an anemone remote. That's usually what it is. That is David? Okay, cool. All right. So we can do install NGO front, set up the anemone on the remote server, and then we'll ice up HQ. We'll advance this once. Would we rather have an early Vampire Nasa or early Saisantan? Well, which one can win the game for us, you know? Yeah, have you been reading the JNet lobby? It's getting worse. All right. We can win here. We can just win. Ah! They only had 1 event. Nice. I'm not a Saisantan believer. If they had another event in a hand, it's like, it's hard to run the numbers on it because we have to hit the event with the damage. So it looks like we hit the, so it was Cleaver into Moshing, which trashed the Hippo into Lago. So it was risky there. They had 1 of each, so like technically the safest hand to run into that. There's no way they die. It's pretty wild. I feel okay trashing most of that. It looks like they're playing some sort of mulch thing. If we had a Bumper and Asa there, probably would have been okay for us. We resid for the same as Saisantan. But now we just got Regolith behind an Anemone, as not great as that is. A virus is nice. We can get that into server 2. I think we do that. It's weird. We do Doom Remote. We put this in the server. Resing this and using it means like it's the same as clicking for credits, right? Because we res it for 2 and then we take 6 off of it. So we basically only gained, wait, is that wrong? We res it, we go down to 2 and then we take 3, 6. It's the same for, why is this math eluding me? So we basically gain 4 for, yeah, whatever. On 8 credits, it's hard for them to contest. Maw's down. Nice. We have 1 card in hand. We have to make sure, though, at some point we'll Mavirus. You thought you'd mob. You still are. Puny agenda. Yeah, the Maw's going to be a bigger problem. All right, well, at least we get Emperor Nas on R&D. And Ice. Well, we should put that on the table somewhere. Where are y'all thinking we put the ganked? Behind the Saisantan or behind the Vampire Nasa? I don't know if David knows that we have this. But we have to consider purging next turn. Have to start a turn trigger. Because Hoff being on 1 is really bad. Behind Vampy, Saisantan is probably a blowout, right? Like this is... Whatever, I'll do it. It's really good behind Vampy. But I think we will purge here. Yeah, we don't want them to have. 0 credits is a good spot for them to be in. I wonder if it's actually right to put the it here. I think we win. Unless we hit a steel skin here, this wins. Oh, we win. Oops. 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 Gang's good. Oh, no! Oh no, GG, you had the scarring in there. Oh, they had the steel skin scarring in there. We missed it. It was a 1 and 3 to not hit on the first hit. If we hit the steel skin, they would have been on 4 cards in hand and they could have gone through that. So like we got a bit lucky there. They can jack out. No, they can't jack out. Well, they have to jack out after they go through the Vampire Nasa before they see what the upgrade is. So once they see the upgrade, they can jack out. But yeah, in theory, but like, why would they have sent it? I guess they could see what the ice is and then jack out. But Saisantan there, in theory, is lethal too if it's Saisantan into ganked. 200% win rate. Yeah, wow. Yeah, okay. Let's run that back. That being said, like that sort of deck is mulch, so it's on like a lot of botchless pressure. And if you botchless someone and then you gank them back to the ice, like it's disastrous. Like I think ganked is unfortunately in a good spot. I had a chance to hit my steel skin 2 or 3. Yeah, David, we saw. Yeah, we missed the 2 or the 3 there. I think Sizen 10 ganked is lethal. Anansi ganked is lethal there too. So like it's hard to make that run. It's still hard, but like, I don't know. You're not on a lot of credits because of the purge, which was really fortunate for us. So you have to take some risks, I guess. I think I could have hit 5 points. What do you mean? We drew into a 5-3 in hand there. What do you mean could have hit 5 points? Even if it's not ganked, hitting snare could kill. We only had 3 credits though, Carrie. We were 1 credit short. Yeah. Snare potentially is lethal, but yeah, we had credit shorts. Fuji also there. So if you have 3 cards in hand, you lose 2, draw 2, so you're in 3. So you save the Fuji as well. On Ma? Yeah, but Ma's random. Like if you Ma and then run archives, like there's a chance you die to the Fuji? I don't know. That's full random. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about Fuji. It's not an additional cost, right? So you have to steal it, which like that's the thing. All right, looks like we're getting mulched again. Hey, best of luck, have fun. I don't love this opening hand. I want to get a Tucana. It hasn't fired once, but like playing 2 of it's like it's pretty difficult. But like a Nazi ganked is just kind of rude. Oh, that's a much better hand. Yeah, it got worse. Okay, hold on. So unfortunately, we have a Tattoo Bola. If we get the Regolith down, they probably trash it. This is where like you get a bunch of hands that are kind of unfortunately really ugly into a Teia. Like I don't think our deck is really great at firing a Teia that consistently. I think Adrian Seiss is like the biggest winner 9 out of 10 times. We generally want to put Anemone on R&D. Like we can leave R&D open. We're holding already 6 points out of 20, so like whatever. So if that's the case though, I think we put Regolith on ice. No, we probably put the Regolith behind the Tattoo Bola. So we'll do ice credit. We should draw once. Ah, now that's fun. That is potentially a fair bit of damage. So now we want to do Fuji ganked into Anemone. If they trash our Regolith though, I like straight up we lose the game. It's all the money in our hand. Izzy, how's it going? How you doing? How's your week looking? Top of the deck. Again, Hashiko flip, trash the Spin Doctor. Hate to see it. We love to draw Spin Doctor. It's actually one of our better A Teia fires because Spin Doctor on ice is pretty good. They know the top card of the deck. So we're going to do Regolith ganked. Ah, another Anemone. So we'll do Regolith in server, outside of server 1. Ganked. Can they afford to trash it? They're going to be on 4 credits plus 4 in Fermenter. I think you have to trash it. We have to watch out. This is a 4-2. We could put it in the ganked server, but then we're not firing our ability at all. This seems subpar. Server 1. Res. Take 6. Okay, whatever. Did enough. Spent. Gained 6, paid 2. Spent 2 clicks for 4 credits. 3 clicks for 4 credits. But not 2 clicks because we got ganked on the table. That's what we wanted to do anyways. I think they have an incentive to trash this. That's a lot of money for Agent Techie. It's a Bola. Can't let that access. Get out. I think this is, maybe it's big host, but I'm assuming this is, you know, a multi-host. Oh, feels bad. Maybe a Teia federal fundraising so you can slam it down turn 1. I just think there's no reason they wouldn't trash federal fundraising. Like federal fundraising is a good card, even iced up. Oh, it's a gank. They have to trash that for 3. But the big thing with federal fundraising and NBN is that it's backed up by the inherent protection of Oppo. Like paying 2 to trash a federal fundraising is a steal. I think you need to ditch the Regolith because the math is hurting you. It's the best card we have though. All right, they're on 4 cards in hand. So we Fuji on the table. We Adrian Seiss on top of server 2. Well, Res Seiss We want to put the anemone here on R&D. The problem is like throwing out these agendas hurts. So we'll leave an open R&D, right? So we'll res sites because we're going to move it for sure. So I think we do take 3 and we advance the Fuji once. So it sweetens the pot. Because currently that's potentially a lot of damage. Wait, no, Adrian Sites with ganked is a Nambo. No, what have we done? Wait, with Adrian Sites, they can't access the ganked. Oh, no, Adrian. Oh, okay, we're cutting Adrian so quick. It protects a Tucana, but it does not protect a ganked. That's really funny. Medium-sized house signals house right now. Yeah, this doesn't look like the start hasn't been incredibly mulchy. I didn't realize how bad Adrian is here. We will slide him over. At least it was a free install, I guess. The price hits simulchip, light the fire, lago. Okay, so it is mulch. So here the simulchip's always good. The light the fire is like really interesting to this server. That actually is going to mess us up if they ever light the fire their remote server. They went, okay, the one light the fire is out. That's good for us. All right, Saisentan goes in R&D. We double advance and we move Adrian to HQ. Purging here would be pretty good. They need the purge. We're going to advance this once and then in theory, like we actually want to double advance this. Because it means we can score out and it does 2 damage. And then this is maybe is like a 2-2. That's not very good. Just take more money. Move Adrian Sice. Yeah, he's going to HQ. You're getting ganked. Because that's the thing. Is like they botulus this. Like they still end up taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4, 5 damage. Potentially, it's good. As much as we have a blend the water in the hand, it's not going to do anything. Ah, buffer drive. Here to save the day. And by save the day, I mean if we purge, we win. They know we have a Saisentan, so they probably don't run R&D for a minute. They're going for credits. They definitely should purge the fermenter here. Like, we're pretty happy just purging. Move Adrian? No. Like, I don't know if you want to be greedy with that. Like, clearly you need money, and there was a click for 8 credit button. I think us trading a turn for that is probably fine, especially because we didn't fire like Lagu. They know what this is. All right. Event is the call, right? Event must be the call. Hey, Pat, how's it going, man? Hit a steel skin on the first hit so they can draw 2 and then we'll hit more damage. What's happening? Okay, we hit steel skin, price, Audrey, Mosh, and Cleaver. I would say that's pretty reasonable. Down to 3 cards in hand. A snare here is pretty interesting. Trash and NGO front. Beans. Again, they really wanted to trash this regolith a minute ago. Sokka called resource on Asmari against me, so what do I know? Because this deck like doesn't have a lot of setup on economy, right? Like it's not playing Dirty Laundry. It's playing maybe one of. It doesn't play Sure Gamble. So I think resources may be okay. Funny enough, program's like really good. Okay. So I think we just score the Fuji. We could also like slow roll it and do advance. The big thing is like steel skin scarring because we've seen only 1 so far. But like ideally we score this, it does 2 damage, and then we like jam in, I don't know, something else. I would love to get this on the table so that we can like Hansei review and get the card back on the table. Don't you hit the Hansei? I think we might. I think we advance, we draw, advance Hansei. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Here, swapping Tattoo Bolas around is kind of cute. I think having the Anansi face down in archives means we can hybrid it next turn. Move Adrian? Nah, you good. Yeah, maybe. But I'd love to be able to do enough damage with this that like transitions into Blend the Water, but that's impossible. They did go down to 0 cards in hand. They found the 1 Dirty Laundry. That's going to turn off our hybrid release. Feels bad. I think Anansi is actually probably the worst discard there. So good into Botulus. Like the deck has no good way to deal with Anansi, I don't think. Yeah, that's probably wrong. Second Fermenter and the Audrey. Okay, so now we need to clear this Regolith. So advance, score. We hit a Simulchip. Oh, they buffer drive the simul chip in the bottom of the deck. Okay. So now purging here is not possible. We probably just have to hit the regolith here because I don't want them to trash it. Ooh, yeah, this feels bad. If they don't run, like, we don't actually have a really good line here. Like, we can't push ourselves that far forward. Adrian stays there. Yeah, we definitely shouldn't have thrown out the Nancy. Yeah, I think trading an Adrian from a virus may be good, right? Like, it's just good into the meta, and then it allows us to deal with all the Audreys. It allows us to do one more damage on the remote server run. But yeah, that was a bit sus. Oh, we're purging. We're going to purge and discard a card for sure because we want a hybrid. Yeah, I don't know. They're like clicking for credits while they have these fermenters. They're probably not that upset that we like spent 2 turns doing it. In Jane especially, there's like no reason not to play at least 2 virus. Yeah, in Jateki, yeah. Like the faction on a JNet, yeah. I agree. Well, we had slots issues, but like now that we're playing the deck, we're realizing what parts work. Like Adrian, unfortunately, is not exactly what we want. Yeah, click for 4. Clot in the bin. That actually is kind of relevant here because we're going to score out a hybrid. We can hybrid and get a blood in the water on the table. I think that's kind of okay. If they steal it, they're on game point. So I think we're going to go for the ice. So we'll do new remote server. We'll use our ability to put this on server 1. We'll see if they lag it. We would love to see them hit a simul chip here. They can buffer drive it back in. They did. They'll probably buffer drive a simul chip at the bottom of the stack. We just do advance score. We can add a face down card. So Tattoo Bola is going to go on the outermost of R&D. This list doesn't run Hippo, does it? Adrian can stay where Adrian is. Yeah, that's fine. HQ, sorry. And unfortunately here we have like a 6-2 agenda, which is really bad. The Lagu makes the blood in the water so bad because as soon as we put in the remote server, they gain a card. It's like ghoulishly bad. But we love this to be a virus, but we would have rezzed it by now. So now we put like regolith in. How are we ever going to score out a blood in the water? Like here, there's a reason to run archives, right? So, okay, they're clicking for a credit here and drawing cards. So the click to run archives, you get a free card and a free credit. So like, this is why, you know, I like Hoshika more than Lu. That running archives is better than the basic actions on this turn, let alone they get a leech counter and they know there's no more virus in here. So I think that's neat. So here we want to set up our combo. The problem is like, wait, how many copies of we have only 2 anemones in the deck and they're on the table. So we need to get this into the bin to get an instant speed, but then we don't need to. So we'd have to gank into a Nancy. I'm okay with them getting an Audrey counter here. Oh no, yeah, Nob Kari though. I think we just put this in server 1 and empty it. Yeah, thinking. The version of Mulch turns 4 credits per turn at the end of the deck. I guess so. So why can't you just push the agenda now? Because it's a 6-2 agenda. That does nothing for us. We don't even have another hybrid release. Like, we just want to score out of Fuji to win the game. Like, we need money. It's a worse Jumon? Yeah, it is a worse Jumon. Like, it's going to be a 6-2 because they draw a card here. Cool. Install Tucana, A Teia, Tattoo. Install Regolith behind Tattoo. There is a downside of having another server because they can, like, you know, run it pretty simply. But yeah, maybe that's right because we didn't use our ability there. That'd be okay to get another ice there. The problem is like, yeah, it's probably fine. I think it's probably reasonable. I just don't love having another server that they can like farm. Can you imagine trying to score blood in the water against Mulch? They trash the steel skin during your turn to throw off the math. I know, and then you install it and they like draw off Lagu. Like it's so bad. They can instantly, you know, steel skin as much as we'll be happy if they do that. Moshing. All right, they're gonna end with 5 cards in hand. I refuse to believe the best version of Mulch doesn't play Sure Gamble. Ice Carver, Pinel Threading, and Imp. Okay. Not having to play around Imp is actually super important. They have 4 cards in hand. It'll be 5 if we install Blood in the Water. Okay. I've also seen this a fair bit. Is like a lot of folks are playing Steel Skin Scarring. It's straight up wrong to play Steel Skin Scarring when you have an Audrey on the table. Because you spend a click and a credit to draw 3 cards when you can clicklessly draw 2 cards. And then you can just click to draw the 3rd card, which is like akin to clicking for card. It's not strictly wrong. It's just there's a lot of board states where it is wrong. Not a fan of buffer driving. Yeah, we've been talking all day about buffer driving, and I'm not the biggest fan of it either. All right, we're going to push whatever agenda we top deck. Move Adrian into another server. Nah. Okay, they finally got money because we didn't want to purge. We could have considered purging there, but we have a window to jam. There's a version that uses bacteria to draw the ganked. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right, guy. We can, in theory, like put a bacteria on the remote server. They run it. We draw off the bacterial, and then we like get the ganked on the table when Tucaning into this remote server. The cool thing about like this is that because we have Anemone, we don't actually have to get the ganked all the time. Yeah. Gives you 1 card of your choice on top of R&D and you draw it with Hoshiko for a 4-click turn with the card. For buffer drive? Yeah, but the cost of playing buffer drive is really cost them. Like they are not running. Like they're just playing setup. Which like this deck is really fun to play setup, but I don't know. Like in theory now if we have like a you know, an actually good remote server like Anoetic into whatever. DJ does it better and doesn't cost an influence. Yes, I agree. DJ HQ here would be very, very good. And it gives you all the power of buffer drive while also being very, very good. Is this a 1 server A Teia? Pat, shut up. But it has been for a bit, yes. We've had 2 very ugly A Teia turns. Oh, we've been streaming for like 4 hours. Damn. Okay, hold on. All right, they finally have 12 cards. They did discard a bunch of cards here. They've got not a single silent chip on the table. We have to keep checking the bin. Okay. Give us an agenda. I swear to God, I'll install the Blood of the Water. I'm doing it. No. In what sense does DJ not cost influence? It costs influence, but it's the same influence as buffer drive. I don't think we put Adrian in server 1 because it turns off the ganked combo. This is really fun. If moving Adrian like makes them, you know, a bit scared. Like it's the same influence that buffer drive costs. And it's just like a better way to make better runs. Like Hoshiko hasn't turned on. The runner definitely should be running archives every other turn at a minimum. It like knob curries the Audrey, it draws a card and a credit, it gets a leech. Like they're leaving a lot of value on the table. My only issue with buffer drive is we forgot to print buff drive first. Oh, Conduit, they're going for it. Okay, cool. That's scary for us. As much as we can get down revolvers, they can't break code gates here. Oh, Imp. All right, purging is not fantastic. They have 3 cards in hand. We scored out a Blood in the Water. Hold on. So we're going to lose on R&D. Luckily, we're going to Tucana a piece of ice there. So do advance, advance. In theory, they could fire Steel Skin Scarring here. That's such a weird play. We've seen 1 scarring, 2 scarring, so they might have another. No, all 3 scarring are in the bin. We don't actually have to pause here. So we're going to go advance. We're going to res a Tucana. We're going to score. We need to get the most annoying card possible in R&D. I think it is an Anansi, because we are eventually going to lose. That was pretty expensive. To this. Office drive for liberation 2 confirmed. That was pretty expensive, but it's good. Size with gank seems fine. If he's turning off the combo, he's also denying the steal, so the runner needs to get in again anyways. Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. That the fact that it denies the combo denies also the agenda, and they just, it's like a board. Yeah, you're right. That's a very reasonable way of looking at it. They haven't got a simul chip. Oh no. They haven't got a single simul chip, so threatening clot, like if they have to play around the... Wait, what? Wait, why? Wait, GG, what happened? I don't know if we win from this state. They didn't even run. They just set up. Imagine you got a good 3-2 in Jateki. Tell me about it. I don't think they messed up. 2 labor rights removed from the game. I think that was the problem they ran into. They still have like a breaker suite. Like you can still win. How did these get removed from the game? I don't know. I'm quite new about 7 years not playing. Oh, this is not a deck. This is not the deck. If you're 7 years not playing that, I would pick up. I don't know exactly what happened. These removed from the game seems sus. Yeah. Oh, welcome back. This sort of deck you're playing is a bit more difficult to just pick up. Yeah, Haley Pawn Shop. It's good fun. Yeah, Pawn Shop totally fell off. It's like really wild. I would be excited to see another like Pawn Shop type engine, but we've lost so many pieces for it. It's really difficult. Any advice? You can, in this matchup, what can be similar? Oh, to Haley Pawn? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, in Ari, you are running more than any other shaper back in the day, but you have the click compression for ID ability, and you have urban art vernissage to give you that pawn shop action. Also, as an old school shaper player, you'll be happy to see Lily pad. Pawn Shop working Woo, rip Woo. Yeah, no, we lost that. Pawn Shop, we lost Reaver. Well, we didn't lose Pawn Shop. We lost Reaver. We lost Harbinger. There's a lot of losses altogether. XD already. That's cool. I think they'll enjoy Ari, but here, yeah, this deck is not super easy to play. They just like kind of set up and let us do whatever we want. I do think they can transition to a late game, but like removing these 2 from the game isn't right. But I was actually still worried if they just start running here, like we lose really quickly. Conduit builds up. Like if they run R&D, they get the blow in the water. That's ideally how we win, but it's still not easy for us. Oh, cool. There's a lot of good stuff up on. You'll on match. I'll swipe left. I don't know what that means. You'll find something cool. What does that mean? Well, thanks to the game, eh? Welcome back. All right. Cheers. That is going to be it for today. We streamed for a fair bit. We did some gameplay recording yesterday, playing again that same sort of Tucana Asa deck. I think it's really fun. I worry that a bunch of the gameplay doesn't entirely show off the combo, so we're going to explain the combo, but we also just like unfortunately play fundamentals Asa group, and that wins more often than not, which is not very flashy. So that'll be up on the channel probably on Saturday, if not on Monday. And then we'll get back in it. Tinder joke. I think it was a Tinder joke, Levi. I don't understand Tinder really. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, Guy, how's it going? Izzy, see you Thursday. See you Thursday as well. What are we doing on Thursday? I'm not sure. Pat will be around at some point. Maybe not this weekend, maybe the next. I really want to still reach out to Ed to see if we can do the trivia on the channel, whether we do it live or we do it in a VOD. Let me know what you think about that. But I'd love to do the world's trivia as much as, again, all the work was done by other people. We're just going to host it. Maybe we'll have Ed do it here as well. That'd be fun. And Brendan, I believe, worked on that. But that's largely it. Again, there was a bit of Netrunner news we actually didn't go over. We'll go over it on Thursday, but just check out, there is an AMT, I think that recently got announced, if I'm not mistaken. There's a production update. Those are always really exciting to see, as much as this one doesn't have images, obviously, on it. But I think they just announced an AMT, and they've been announcing the AMTs pretty late, so it's nice to get a bit of a, head up run on this. It'll be November 19th. Mind you, SOS is still coming up on November 18th. That's the Sovereign of Subways. We've been talking about that a fair bit on the channel. Link should be in the description as well, if I remember. If not, hit me up. Trivia and Ballroom Mood Quiz. Oh, Ballroom Mood Quiz 2 is really cool, but I have no doubt that Ba would just want to put that up on Ba's channel, because I heard a lot of people asking for that. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, thank you for hanging out. Hopefully you have a good time. I'm off to go sleep up some Arc Nova, but also I'm actually quite hungry. Take care, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. See you in a bit. Ciao.